Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Yes, indeed. It is a Tuesday here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. You heard Mike, you heard G. Bush, and Jay. Jay is here as well. Oh, wait a second.
Wait a hold the phone.
That's not Jay. It's Austin Hedges.
What is going on?
Guardians catcher Austin Hedges.
Congratulations, Austin, on being here. Still,
we don't give stunt doubles any mics.
He can communicate through signs. Give us some of these. What's going on? No?
He could write on the whiteboard.
That's
Did
true.
you bring the marker?
Well, Jay will be joining us in a little bit, guys. A lot to get to today. Aditi Kinkhabwala of CBS, of course, will join us at 11:30. Jen Matthews will come at 12:30, and she will give us trivia. Were you here last time?
I was. She's going to quiz us on the matchup this week.
Yeah, we didn't. Oh, you weren't here. That's right. We did not do that well.
They were really tough questions, and I was counting on you guys to carry the load.
And we did not,
because you did not.
We failed miserably.
I'm predicting you guys go 3 of 5 this week.
Oh, you already saw. Mikey Nuggets saw the questions.
I had to make the graphics, so I know the questions. I think they're a little easier than last time.
I hope so.
Last time they were way too hard, but these are not gimmies by any.
That's a lot of pressure. Now, if we do any worse than that, we look even stupider than we looked last week.
Yeah, way to set us up for failure, Mike. Thanks a lot.
All right, so a lot to get to. In addition to that, we'll get to the Guardians. We still don't know who they're going to play. We know it's down to 2 teams that are possible instead of 3. It's either the Rays or the Mariners. It'll probably be the Rays, but that's not set in stone yet. So that's coming up. But we begin, guys, with the Browns offense against the Chargers defense. We were just saying before we went on the air that the Browns, have had 2 disappointing losses, obviously. If they're going to get to the 6-5, which is going to be hard, that we hope they can get to give them a chance with Deshaun Watson, they're going to need to pull some upsets.
Yes.
They're a 3-point underdog in this game, even though it's at home. Gee, I'm going to start with you. How you feeling about the Browns' offense about the Chargers' defense against the Chargers?
Be candid with him and tell him what you said.
By the way, my physical, before you answer, my physical therapist said to me today, I'm doing my workouts this morning. He goes, I got to tell you, I was depressed after the Browns game, and then I rewatched your post-game show, and he goes, G. Bush is going so crazy in that thing that it made me actually laugh, and it cheered me up.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, so I'm a tyrant and crazy. G. Bush was talking so outside of his being that it was funny. I just had to laugh.
Your fury was amusing to them.
Listen, these losses be hurting me. They hurt bad, especially when I think there's some things that they could do to win. And the first 4 games was where the saving grace was. I knew coming after these games, like we all did, guess what? It gets a lot tougher.
What?
And, this ain't going to look good. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. There's only a couple things that the Browns can do to even stay in this football game. And that's, A, do what they did on that screen, no turnovers. And I mean none. Not even at the end in Jacoby Brissett. Not at the end.
But that's when he likes to.
Yeah, when it counts.
Right.
None of that. And they're going to have to run the ball like they've never ran the ball. I mean, it should be a repeat rinse, and just keep doing it because they need to really limit the amount of times that the Chargers offense gets the football, because if they let them have the ball, there's nothing they can do on defense. There's nothing. We haven't even started talking about that. We'll get to that probably tomorrow, but the offense is going to have to be good enough for offense and defense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much hope right now, honestly, that Myles Garrett's going to play this week either. I mean, maybe he will, but if you ask me today, do I believe he's going to play? I'd guess no. Nope. We don't know about Clowney. He has started to practice. We'll see. Mike, you seem
Well, I'll
depressed.
tell you what, I am. Right before we were saying how, boy, it'd be nice if we could get this upset. That would really help the season. They would turn around. That was about the response he had right there. A soft, evil giggle was what G offered. And he said, I'm not going to say exactly what you said, but you sort of reflected a lack of faith in that might not happen.
Yeah, I basically said they might get smoked.
I know that we're supposed to be talking about defense on offense right now, and I will, but you can't talk about this without talking about the Chargers offense because that's a big part of how often our defense is going to be out there and how often our offense offense is going to be out there. And I watched that game. You know, you can watch the game like sped up. You can watch like the 13 minutes of all the action. I watched that. It was like a horror movie to me watching that offense operate, watching that Chargers offense operate. We are not. Hey, look who's here. We are not stopping. We are not stopping that offense just so.
All right, Austin Hedges, you're out.
Yeah, hop out, Austin Hedges.
How'd you do, Austin?
He was amazing.
Buy our shirts.
For our shirts, we were about to get to that.
He was on mute.
So anyways, I watched that offense. It's like they're playing, it's like a video game. They do everything that we are bad at, they exceed at. They excel at. Like all these little dump passes that always kill us, he always sees the open man. He has like 10 options every single time.
Wide open.
I think that I have, and without Myles Garrett and probably Clowney, and at least probably not having Clowney at 100%, I don't see how they're going to stop this team. Eckler just looked insane.
All right, guys. You've mentioned the bad news. Jay, you come in. These guys are talking about all the bad news against the Chargers. But
There's a lot of bad news.
There is a lot of bad news.
And we haven't spoken.
But let me give you let me make you feel a little better and give you a little hope here, okay? I don't know when I became the optimistic guy. I've never been the optimistic
you like
guy.
The optimistic
but all of a
dude.
sudden, I'm the optimistic guy. How that happened?
We need one here.
Okay, here we go. So first of all, let me get the one negative out of the way. Yes, if you try to have a Jacoby Brissett, Justin Herbert battle, the Browns are going to lose that battle. We're aware of that.
Agreed, it's a good.
But here's the good news. The Chargers this year, I know it's 4 games, but that's all I got right now, have been not bad. They've been hideous against the run. Hideous. Mm-hmm. Every starting back they faced, all 4, have killed them, destroyed them on the ground. Absurd numbers. They're averaging, some of the guys they all averaged at least 5 yards per carry, okay? What's their rushing?
They're only 14th. Their rush defense is 14th in the NFL.
Well, some of that, but I'm doing yards per carry, okay? Now, in a couple of those games, they had big leads, so the teams had to give up on the run.
And that's why you got to dismiss those stats. It's 4 games, and in 2 of them, the teams abandoned the run by halftime.
Exactly. But when those teams ran, they ran it well. Even the Chiefs, who don't really run it well, Clyde Edwards-Helaire only had 8 carries, but he had like 70 yards on those 8 carries. Yeah. Josh Jacobs of the Raiders tore him up. And this past week, they played.
So you're saying the Browns will run all over that defense?
James Robinson of the and you're talking about, and then who did they play this past week?
The Texans and
Texans. Damian Pierce, the rookie, had a monster game.
Had a long run, too.
Okay? And those guys are not great backs. Damian Pierce, the rookie, maybe he will be. The other 3 guys are good, solid NFL backs, but they're not special backs like Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb. Number 2, the Chargers, even though Austin Eckler's a good talent, have not run the ball well this year. And they are, big time, as we know, a pass-first offense.
Sure.
Now, in theory, I know this hasn't really panned itself out too well, but in theory, the Browns' strength on defense should be their pass defense.
Can't we throw that out, though, after what we've seen through 4 games?
Yes.
Because they're not what they were in 2021.
It's not,
they're who they are now.
It's through 4 games, they're not. It's not their strength. My hope is that it will finally emerge this week.
That's hope.
That's hope. I agree.
Yeah.
There is talent to make you believe that could happen.
He's right.
But it's
when
not
did you become the
I
optimist?
have no idea.
You're finding the silver lining.
Listen, the Browns have to control. I'm not a big control clock generally guy. I think it's overrated a lot of ways in the NFL. But in this game, the Browns must be 60% minimum running the ball to run clock and keep Herbert off the field as much as possible.
And I will give you this. Last week, as much as I said, hey, the field goal situation on the road, we laughed about how there's always a prerequisite on the road 3. Yeah. I'm with you this week. I just don't.
3 won't beat Los Angeles.
I do have to ask this, though. We talked. You're saying that our one major advantage in your eyes, and I think you're right, is our running game is superior, and their defense can't stop our running game.
Yes.
Is it a problem that their one strength that happens to be reflected in our game last week in a negative way? And by that I mean we couldn't stop their running backs in any way. Our run defense is terrible, and those were running backs named Tyler Algier and Caleb Huntley that we couldn't stop. So is it bad that even the one thing that we have going for us, it seems as though that's also a weakness on our defense?
Yeah, it is. However, the Chargers are inclined to throw the ball. Even last week, when they were winning big, and they have a really good back in Austin Eckler, they still threw the ball. Even though they were winning by a lot early, they still threw the ball a ton.
They had a lot of
Their offense is predicated on throwing the ball. They do not run the ball a ton. Austin Eckler gets a lot of passes.
Well, he's got almost 200 receiving yards this year.
He's a good back as a runner. He's a great back as a pass catcher.
307 yards a game for the Chargers. And if you think these guys are walking wide open against the Browns, I mean, we got bust against the middlings of the league.
Yeah.
These guys could put 21, 28 on you in a quarter, and it's good night, Irene.
G. Bush, they're watching tape right now, and they're going back and watching plays over to make sure that their eyes didn't deceive them the first time. They are salivating right now at the thought that Justin Herbert, the first good quarterback they've faced, gets to play a defensive secondary that has had 6 pass breakdowns. 6.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's unacceptable.
It's terrible.
I'm glad you're optimistic, though.
And the Chargers and Justin Herbert, by the way, like these other quarterbacks, we said there's been 6 breakdowns.
There's been probably 12, but they've only capitalized on 6.
Justin Herbert will capitalize every time you break down.
Yes, he will.
Unlike some of the guys who face.
surgical.
So if you make those mistakes, he will hit it every time. Now, one thing that's big, now Herbert looked great last week. He looked back to himself after he looked terrible the week before after the injury.
Ribs.
Keenan Allen hasn't played the last couple of weeks. Now, it didn't affect him last week, but he's a great player. And you'd rather him not play than play. Because with Keenan Allen, now you have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, which is a great tandem. Without him, then it's just Mike Williams, who's good, but he's not the precision route runner. Keenan Allen worries me the most. Mike Williams is a big play guy, and he's going to be dangerous. He'll take the top off the defense.
Yeah.
But without Keenan Allen, it's, he's huge if he's back this week.
They just, you're a franchise guy because they got another receiver. I forget. I picked him up with
Josh Palmer.
Yeah, that Palmer guy. He's open now. I don't understand.
Talented, but he ain't Keenan Allen.
He's not Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
Well, would you agree with this statement? This is the first game of the 4, now 5, that the Browns are clearly outclassed in talent.
Across the board, I don't think so.
Rosters.
At quarterback,
You're
yes.
looking at the rosters, and you can say, I'll take Cleveland's or I'll take Los Angeles. Who are you taking when you look at the rosters?
I mean, right now I take it, but it's mostly because of Herbert. Because,
I mean, Bosa's out. If Garrett's out, that's a scratch.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, at wide receiver.
Their wide receiver talent is so much better than the Browns.
If Keenan Allen plays. If
He's
he
expected to play, right? I mean,
he hasn't played the last couple of weeks.
No, I know, but I thought they were
he
shooting for this week for him to be
If he does,
ready.
then obviously it's a big gap.
Right.
Because Amari Cooper's is, in that same class with Keenan. He's probably between Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
I like your approach that when you look at the matchup, obviously it's got to be heavy run to pass. It has to be.
Has to be, yeah.
But what scares me about that is a couple of weeks ago, we saw what happened to Miami when it came to the time of possession and the yardage.
Right.
Yet somehow they find a way to win the game. I think they possessed the ball 18 minutes to 42 minutes.
That's an anomaly, though, and it doesn't mean it can't happen again.
It can happen, but my fear is you're not going to beat them kicking field goals.
No.
And I've seen this red zone offense operate, and it's not pretty. So to beat the Chargers, when you get to the red zone, you have to roll 7s.
Yeah,
you have to.
100%. It's going to be hard for the Browns to win this game, but it's not impossible. They're only a 3-point underdog. You know what?
How are they only a 3-point underdog?
Because it's at home.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it,
I think
if the game were in LA, they'd probably be an 8-9-point dog in this game.
Wow.
Like, look at the Steelers. They're a 14-point underdog this week. Have you ever seen the Steelers?
Never.
14-point underdog. They play the Bills.
But they're also rolling out a rookie quarterback who didn't look great.
Right.
And the team is clearly reeling defensively as
I
well.
mean,
well, guys,
it's going to be hard. The Browns' defense looked really well. The run defense looked awful last week. And if Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney don't play, I know we don't think of them as run stoppers, but Jadeveon Clowney's one of the best run-stopping DNs in the league.
I'm going to tell you what. I went back and looked.
Yeah.
And I was watching the All-22. And up front, we have no shot.
Not without those guys.
Like, they're not even, I'm just giving y'all paint a picture. I think I'm going to do a video and put it up. They're not even blocking them sometimes. They just don't block them and let them run it, and then they get ran past, or they have no awareness where the ball is. They have no gap assignments. If they don't play, they can run the ball or pass the ball. They can do whatever they want. I don't know how they're going to stop them ever. Like, you might have to have a surprise on the side. I don't know if you could get a tip pass.
Are they in the 40s, do you think, the Chargers? Are they putting 40 up?
Pro Football Focus says all of our defensive linemen, and I can see why, 24%, 25%.
It was bad, G.
It was
really
bad, man.
bad.
I mean, It's not above replacement. Like, guys are walking
So
off
you
the
wouldn't
street.
be surprised then if they put up 40.
They put up 40 last year, right? And they put up 40 last year, and they just kept coming back. And that was the best game Baker probably like low-key played.
It's a problem that we all agree on this, and we agree that if somehow they end up winning this game, it will be in spite of the roster and the talent on that team, and not. Normally, you're right. We're talking about teams where we're like, well, we're evenly matched here. We can, maybe we can make up a little ground here, but here we're like, it's going to take some kind of magic, or someone's going to have to be in a mood.
I actually don't agree with that.
You don't?
I mean, again, they're only a 3-point favorite, and I know it's at home. I don't think the overall talent of the rosters is a big difference.
Think about their
I think the
offense.
overall talent
Their
of
receivers are
quarterback-
better.
Well, but again, if
Their tight end's better.
And they have a
Their
premier
run-
running back.
Austin
If they didn't have a
Eckler's-
premier running
Yeah,
back, I
he's
would
not
say,
as
well,
big Chubb,
at
but-
least we've got a huge edge there. But they
We don't have
I can't even think of who their tight end is right now. I'm drawing a blank.
I got it. Something
Everett.
Jared Everett.
Yeah, he's not any better than Njoku. That's a wash.
Really?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
not any better.
Now I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah.
To me, the only way they win this game is if they really just say Nick Chubb is the best player on the field and you can't stop him, and we giving it to him 30 times.
I mean, I would like to see Nick Chubb have the ball 25, 30 times, certainly. I would like to see them run it 60% of the time. But remember, guys, what we've seen, the good news is what we've seen in the NFL so far this season is a whole lot of parity. And there's been a lot of teams that have lost games that
almost
they
half
should
the
have
league
won.
is 2-2.
Yes. There's one team with no wins, the Texans, who have a tie, and one team with no losses. That's it.
And everybody
These
else
teams
is bunched up in the middle.
The Ravens have had 2 bad losses. The Bengals have had 2 bad losses. You look at some of the Colts beat the Chiefs. How the hell did that happen? The Colts have looked terrible.
Yeah.
And then they
It doesn't
looked
make
awful last week.
Awful.
Now compare
and
that-
so week to week, the Browns. Listen, I know coming off this past game against the Falcons, we're feeling really down about the Browns, and I get it. They played a lousy game. They should. It's a game we expected them to win, and they didn't. In the end, they were only a 1-point favorite. It's not like they were some huge favorite in Atlanta. The
I think what we're
Chargers
all
are
trying to
better.
say
I just
here-
don't think it's as big a gap as.
I think what we're all trying to say here
Yeah.
is in the first 4 games, the Browns had the roster edge. I
Yes,
think we
I would
all
agree.
with that.
Yes.
And somehow they came through that just 2-2.
Right.
And in this game, they don't have the edge. I think that the edge is actually more in the Chargers' favor than you do. You tend to think
Yeah.
it's a lot closer. I just look at the wide receivers that the Browns roll out there,
Yeah.
and the passing game that the Chargers are going to roll out there, and I think this is much bigger than a 3-point deficit. I do.
I mean, it certainly
Now
could
look,
turn
they
out
could,
to be.
to your point, it's
Yeah.
the NFL in 2022.
Yeah. Yep. Right.
Anybody can win on any given Sunday. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Browns won, but my smart money would be on
I
given
think
those
that
points.
I think a lot of people will be betting the Chargers because a lot of people are going to
I
look at
think
this
that
game
line's
and say,
gonna move.
How are they only a 3-point favorite?
Do you think it's the uncertainty of Myles Garrett? We don't know. I mean, he's going to swing the point spread a point or two.
I think the point spread is assuming he's going to be out. That's
there
what
was
I
a
think.
report. There was a report last weekend that it looks like he's looking at multiple games. That these
Yes.
injuries are going to linger more than just 1 week.
Schefter said 2 to 4 weeks, by the way.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Schefter reported to be 2 to 4 weeks before he's completely back in the green zone, full contact, everything.
It's a wrap.
That could be. I mean, it really could be a wrap.
I'm just not like, I want y'all to understand something. I got to give you some visuals here.
It's always something. Something always unravels the Browns season.
They are not
every year.
They are
Browns.
not as constituted up front. They're not getting any pressure. It won't come. And here's the thing too. If you don't have the players, you have to look for your coaches to do something creative, to makeshift something, to manufacture something. And I just don't see it. Joe Woods is not changing anything. He's already shown that in 3 years. He's not going to start blitzing all of a sudden right now. That's not him. And Kevin Stefanski, if you look at it, the only way we know that they're going to win this game if he says, he goes to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt before this week and say, listen, it's all y'all. I need y'all's best game. I'm going to find every way to get you the ball. Jacoby might throw it 17, 19 times, but we win if you guys dominate. And that's the only way. And I don't see him doing that.
I will say this, though. We actually only win when Amari Cooper has a good game, if you'll notice. The 2 games where he was not involved, we came up short. In the 2 games where he had 101 yards, then we won.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, it is.
He had 101 yards 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, he did.
So he won the first game.
Right.
No,
the
we
first
lost the
game the
Jets.
Browns won.
Right. Okay.
Even though he didn't have
So
the
he
big
had Jets in Pittsburgh. He had 101.
You're
games.
counting
And
the
what,
Jets.
He only
should have been a win.
He plays well
Like,
at home. There you go.
Okay,
Plays
that's
well
fair.
at home.
Well, my point is,
and
no,
they're playing this game at home. So
my point is, I love the run. Of course, we all want to run the ball, but it's proven that it's very helpful to get Amari Cooper involved, and we play better as a team when you actually mix it up a little bit.
There is hope that will happen.
Yes.
I'll say from looking at Nick Chubb, we all want Chubb to run the ball more. I look just because it's been such a topic of conversation. I think he's third in the league in carries.
Mm-hmm. We've said this before.
And here's the other thing. He's got 81 carries on the season. I think the leader has 83 or 84.
Yeah.
He's on a strict 20 carry pitch count. That's what he is. You're not going to see. I don't think you'll ever see a game where he's at 28 carries. I think that the one thing that Stefanski is super disciplined on is the number of touches he gives to Nick Chubb. And whether or not that's coming from the analytics department that says if your back averages 20 yards a carry, you get an extra 2 seasons out of him on the backside.
Okay.
I don't know.
That
Listen,
would be
you're laughing.
real, right?
That's something the analytics department would say.
I'm laughing because it's true.
It is
Yeah,
true.
but that would be really dumb. I mean, I'm not worried about him in the back end of his career.
They are.
They are. They're because they're paying him.
Well, but they're paying him for how many years? He's only got 2 more years of guaranteed
Yeah,
money?
but obviously they'd love to stretch him out 7
Sure,
instead
I
of
get
5.
it,
because
Teams
they-
do that all the time.
Because the
that's
goal
true.
is to get him with Watson. Then it opens up.
Well,
If
yeah.
you get him, but you got to get him to Watson.
One thing, by the way, I was just reading that it's not looking good for Keenan Allen this week, and that's a big deal.
All right.
Now, it's not set in stone, but there was a lot of optimism that he would.
Originally, they were saying we're looking at week 5.
Right. But
So then maybe
Staley
he's had a
said
setback.
yesterday, hey, he's still day-to-day, and we're going to be very conservative with him.
I just don't know how much you can
We'll see,
buy
but
into what the coach says.
I don't buy that the Chargers, without him, the Chargers' wide receiving core is probably worse than the Browns, or at best equal. I mean,
You
I don't
can't
know.
be worse than the Browns wide
well,
receiver
Amari
core.
Cooper's better than Mike Williams. He's a more proven player.
Okay, but I think just
But they have nobody else either.
But you have to go on. But who are the Browns rolling out
But
there?
who are they running out?
Schwartz is a fast guy that you might use on an end around. But last week we gave it to our tight
I know,
end.
but
That didn't make sense.
I was about to say Darius Hayward-Bay. Donovan Peoples-Jones
What
has
are
done
those
as much
hyphens?
as Josh Palmer has done on the Chargers.
But here's the thing, though. We're looking at just names. I'm looking at what they're doing. When I watch them play, they're wide open.
well, they're getting
They're wide open.
Well, they're getting passes from Justin Herbert.
Yeah,
too.
is.
he's
Here's the
throwing
thing.
it
And
too.
that's the ultimate
Guys,
difference.
I think the key to this discussion is
Yeah.
they're giving up 27 points a game. Okay, so when you look at their total defense, scoring defense, they're ranked 30th in the league. So, yes, there's doom and gloom everywhere. The wide receivers, Garrett might not play. All of the doom and gloom. What it basically boils down to is you've got to hold them to 28 points or less. If they score over 28, I don't see the Browns putting
They
up
scored
30.
24 in the first
I
half
don't.
this past year.
Listen. If there's an offense that's capable of doing that,
Yeah.
it's this one. But when I look at the matchups and I look at the rankings and I look at everything else, where are they weak? Well, clearly they're giving up 27 a game. That's third last in the league. So the Browns have to get to 28, and their defense has to wake the hell up. They can't have breakdowns.
Yeah.
They can't have, to your point, and that's the key to this game, I believe, is the Browns' defensive secondary. Because you've got in my mind, a top 3 quarterback on the other side. He's leading the league in passing.
Yeah.
He will absolutely eviscerate that defense if they're looking around shrugging their shoulders like I thought you had him.
Yeah,
it's going to be a long day.
He will
They've
not
gotta
miss
get it together.
opportunities. They will not miss opportunities. The secondary's got to play a great game. I just think it's also something we haven't talked about. These teams that come from the West Coast to the East,
Yeah, no,
that plays
that's
a factor.
It does.
especially it's an early game. It's a 1 o'clock game.
Yeah.
A lot of times West Coast teams struggle with
I
those 1 o'clock
imagine they
games.
would come in Friday and not Saturday
Sure,
to
but
try to get
I'm
more
not sure I like
acclimated.
being dependent on jet lag for us to pull this one out, but I agree that's a
don't
factor.
know,
We're the
man.
Browns. Any factor we can
I know, I'll
get.
take
I hope
listen.
it's freezing rain.
Yeah.
I tell you what, look,
Yeah.
man, they got to have one of those drives where you look up and whoever's calling the game says, I mean, look at this. You know, the Browns have had this ball the whole entire second quarter.
Yeah.
Like that, it may
We
seem,
get one of those sometimes. We get one of those a year.
Right, we get one of
typically,
those.
where you're like,
And-
how'd that happen?
And they're going to need about 2 of those in this game to limit the amount of points they get. This team can score points quick. They score fast. And if you look at the games we played against really good quarterbacks like Herbert or Patrick Mahomes. The games where you going 3 and out or you kicking field goals, you'll lose every time.
Every time.
You got to score touchdowns.
You have to convert, and they have to get themselves in manageable positions, because if he's going to be aggressive and go for it, that means third down is important. Don't rush to the line of scrimmage and hurry up.
Right.
Yeah, don't try to trick them.
Run the rock and then be like, I got 2 downs to get 3 yards.
Yeah.
That's what you look at. And they just have to be physical. And I just know, given what the Browns defense is, they're not going to get any pressure. So they have to manufacture something. So you got to look at your coordinator and say, look, what can you do to help these inferior players out? And that's part of coaching.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if the defense cannot turn it around over the next few weeks, then maybe at the bye week they make a change there. Because I would think, assuming you have a guy on the staff you think could take over, because it's hard bringing somebody from out of the team, in the middle of the season.
You almost give up on the season when you start changing coaches and quarterbacks. In the middle. You almost give up on it.
Because you're like, let's promote the guy who wasn't good enough to get your job earlier in the year.
Right.
Or sometimes you get a shot. Greg Williams, right? Well, look, he took over as coach.
You're right.
And it was a shot in the arm.
There are
that
examples
year they
of it.
almost made the playoffs.
But you're taking someone in the system that had a ton of experience.
Yeah.
I don't know that the Browns have that guy on the staff. One other thing that I want to make a point of, we made a big issue yesterday of, do you take the 3 or do you go for 7? I think the one thing that we left off that discussion yesterday was who you're playing. Against Atlanta, this isn't a juggernaut offensively. Take whatever points you can. Against the Chargers, you got to roll 7s.
Yeah.
I don't want to kick field goals on 4th and 1. I want to go for it.
Right.
But I think the opponent has to factor into that decision. And by the way, I don't think the analytics equation takes that into account.
McNuggets, you say
Go ahead, McNuggets.
We got a little bit of breaking news real quick that I want to ask you a question before we get to Aditi. But Jerome Ford has been placed on the IR after suffering an ankle injury against Atlanta. I didn't even notice he got banged up.
Does he even
in the
play?
game.
I didn't even know he played.
He
Special teams.
But Jerome Ford
he returned 2 kicks for negative yards
By
last
the
week.
way, Dearness Johnson made a terrific play.
I love
Great tackle
big
on special
tackle.
teams.
Big tackle.
But I do want to ask you guys a question real quick. We saw the Falcons take advantage of Myles Garrett and Clowney not being there, especially in the run game.
Right.
Joey Bosa is not playing in this game. He's at least in the same category of pass rusher as Myles Garrett. How should the Browns take advantage of the Chargers, not having one of their elite pass rushers on the outside?
The Chargers blitz more than anybody in the league.
Right. And
They
that's another
love-
reason to throw the ball.
That is another reason
to run the ball. Yeah.
Now I don't know. I'd like to see those stats. Are they blitzing even without Bosa? Because obviously, that's to your point, and we made this point before last week. When you're dinged with your guys that typically get home, then the focus goes to the defensive coordinator. What are you doing? Are you sending 5 guys? Are you bringing a safety? Are you bringing a backer? Are you changing things up? The Chargers have done that in the absence of Bosa because the game plan dictates you have to. You've got to get home with someone, and with your best pass rusher out, you got to do it in creative ways. The Chargers have done that. The Browns last week did not, and they better figure it out this week. They better figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, and Bosa being out, just between the fact that they like the blitz, and I don't know if the numbers changed dramatically with him being out last week.
I don't either. That's the one thing we don't know.
Between them loving the blitz and being bad against the run and no Bosa, to me, it just signals more running. And if you're running effectively, which they should, that leaves the Chargers open for Jacoby taking a couple of chances on play action.
Did anybody else make a mental
plays.
note how many times Chubb and Hunt were on the field at the same time? I counted 2. And
Okay,
both
I
of
didn't
them
notice.
were big gainers.
Huge plays.
Both of them were. One of them was the touchdown.
That is and you guys were very critical of Kevin Stefanski. I've defended Kevin Stefanski more, but my biggest criticism of him is the lack of using those 2 guys together, especially late in the game in big moments, because when I'm trying to win a game at the end, I want to have my best weapons on the field.
Right.
And Kareem Hunt's a great weapon. We want him on the field too, but not at the expense of Nick Chubb.
Like Jay pointed out, they bring him in, right? You're playing, it's crunch time, you need an answer score. They run Kareem Hunt out of the backfield, put him in motion, defense just runs with him. They turn and give it to Nick Chubb. He doesn't get touched.
You've got 2 thoroughbreds on the field at the same
Touchdown.
time.
Right.
And it's like the frustrating part is, sometimes just because the obvious is there and novices or people you may think aren't as smart as you pointed out, you don't have to just say, I'm smarter than that. I'm not about to do what you said do.
Yeah.
You can learn from your enemies, people you don't like. You can just be like, hey, that was some decent advice. I'm going to use that. Like, it's not that crazy to say you should be running that more. We're not saying do it every single play. But when you're looking at it, I'm just saying look at the other teams and how they use players, right? Look at Miami. The Dolphins said, you know what, we got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. We just throwing it up. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not trying to establish some run play. They're like, no, he's faster than everybody. Let's see if you can catch him. And they throw it up.
You know how you said that they obviously have Chubb on a run count? And that's true. I mean, you look at
when has he had over 20?
You're right.
He's had over 20. He never has like 27.
He'll never 30.
Regardless,
but it looks like a pitcher on a 100 pitch count will have 103, 104.
Yeah.
But there is an obvious
agreed
effort
but
here.
What about
to keep him
so, okay, how about 5 more How about 5 more runs for Kareem Hunt? How about what did Dearness Johnson do last year other than succeed every time you put him in a position and gave him the ball and let him run?
He's buried.
Mix it up.
So even
Throw
if it's
him
not
in.
Chubb and Hunt,
get
maybe
Chubb
it's
off
Johnson
if you're worried
and
about
Chubb.
Let's
maybe
try
it's
Dearness
Johnson
Johnson
and Hunt.
And if I'm Stefanski,
he's drunk on tight ends. He's drunk on tight ends. And it's got to stop.
That tight end
if
fetish,
I'm Stefanski,
the fetish has to quit.
Yeah.
He fetishized tight end. When the tight end reversed, he said he's been walking us into this. He started with the screen, and people around the league was like, okay, we'll accept the screen, but we're not going to accept the tight end reverse. We're not accepting
have you guys ever seen a more odd, weird, bad trick play than a tight end reverse?
No.
Into the short side
It might be the worst play call I've ever heard.
Njoku's a good athlete, but all right.
Guys, one thing I want to bring up is if you watch the Packers game on Sunday, they kept talking about their pony package. They call it the pony package. That's when they have Jones and Dillon in the game at the same time.
Right.
They're a pass team, for crying out loud. They have Aaron Rodgers. Now, this year, because their receiving core is down and the passing yards haven't been there, what does Green Bay do? We can run the ball too. So now, let's listen to these numbers. Jones, 16 carries, 110 yards. Dillon, 17 carries, 73 yards. That's 33 carries between the two of them. But there's more. Dillon had 2 receptions, and Jones had 3. So you're talking about 38 touches from your running backs on a team that is notoriously built on Rodgers' right arm.
Right.
And
So
I think
there's
Chubb
no
and
reason
Hunt.
the Browns can't get these guys more involved.
I think Chubb and Hunt probably had close to that this past game, but I would have even more because they have Aaron Rodgers.
That's a quarterback that can throw.
Right.
I watched some of these passes from Jacoby. Bless his heart, Big Jake. But man, I'm telling you, it looked like he was throwing them end over end sometimes. Like he's just throwing them like an axe. Like he's throwing an axe, and the motion on it's terrible.
Jacoby's done a pretty good job.
Sure, he has done a
overall
pretty
through
good
4
job.
weeks. He's played certainly better than I expected. The offense as a whole has been better than I expected. Even the running game, which I thought would be great, has been even better than I could have possibly thought. But the bottom line is, to me, if I'm running 2-minute drill late in the game and I need to win this game, I need a touchdown, I need a field goal to win the game, there's 3 players that have to be on the field every single play. Chubb, Hunt, and Amari Cooper. Whatever other guys you want to put in there, fine. Those 3 guys got to be on the field to me every play when it's a clutch moment.
Dillon and
They
Jones
had
had
33
40
touches, by the way.
33. And our guys had 32.
33, yes.
33.
Well, think about that.
So
if they had 7 more touches, Browns probably win the game.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
We're not asking for 20 more touches. Give them 7 more.
The Packers, when I watch them, you always make the point of why do these other teams make it look so easy?
It is.
How do they make it look so easy? They're one of the teams that I watch, and I know, I thought
they were awful in the first half.
I know they were, but they find ways to win
figured
games.
it out.
Their culture is, we're going to stay. Aaron Rodgers said after the game, guys, we can't keep doing this.
Right.
Fact of the matter is, that's who they are. That's what they do. When they're in close games, they find ways to come out on top. When the Browns are in close games, they find ways to bungle it and lose. That's the difference.
You're a Bengals fan, right?
Yeah.
Right. Listen, and here's the thing. When I watch them, and I don't want to just say, people have to be feeling like this.
Yeah.
When I watch them, guys be open. They just be open. Like, and it's just
they have
not,
great wide receivers, though,
but it's just
and a great quarterback.
It's just not the Bengals, though.
Yeah.
It's like, I watch the Cowboys. People be open. Sometimes I'll be like, yo, this is crazy. Ravens, people are open. Now, it has to do with the quarterback, but sometimes it just seems like I haven't seen a post route or a corner. I ain't seen a post in the middle of the field in ever. Like, we just don't have it.
But you'll see it with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, you're not going to see it with Jacoby Brissett.
I think when Deshaun Watson starts playing, we'll see guys open more.
Well, that might be a thing.
Might
be a thing. We'll see.
Aditi's with us.
Aditi, save us from ourselves.
Hold on, Aditi just walked. She's back. She's back.
No, I'm
she's
right
back.
here.
She's
I'm
back.
right here. Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
What up?
Did you?
How you doing?
Well,
Great.
these guys are real. Usually I'm like negative Nancy guy and killing everybody. But this week I've been Mr. Optimistic about the Browns turning it around. These guys are feeling bummed. I don't blame them.
Well,
But,
I feel
they're
like
down
Jay
right
makes
now.
Jay makes a really, really good point when he says that there's an art to winning. Like, you need to know how to win. And it kind of made me crazy when Hugh Jackson would say about his 1-15 or 0-16 team, like, these guys just don't know how to win. But there is something to that. Like, at some point, it's kind of, you get a gut check win and it counts for something. You know how to fight. You know why you fight. It's what Joe Flacco said week 2. I'm sorry, Browns fans, but the way that Jets team in the last 2 minutes down 13 refused to count themselves out. Right. Well, that carried over this past week in Pittsburgh against the Steelers. And sometimes you just need to do it to know that it's possible. You need to know how to get there. And to your point, Adam, Nick Chubb. Like, there's never enough Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I don't understand.
There's never enough Nick Chubb.
Aditi, I don't understand why. I mean, I know why he takes him off the field in those 2-minute drills, because Kareem Hunt is a better pass catcher. I get it. But I don't understand. If Nick Chubb is my best player and I'm trying to win the game in a final drive, I have to have him on the field. It doesn't mean I take Kareem Hunt off, because he's my second best player.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
It's what I was screaming after the Super Bowl last year, when you had a 3rd and 1 and then a 4th and 1 and then again a 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 1, and Joe Mixon, your 265-pound running back, your Pro Bowler, is not on the field.
Right. I was screaming it too.
What your 2-minute offenses or what you're, like, at some point when you're in crunch time, you put your best players on the field. I agree with you. And as great as Kareem Hunt is, of course I want to see Nick Chubb on the field. But having the ability to close out an opponent, whether that is bleeding the clock, knowing when you're in a no-mas situation, meaning you take a knee and you don't score, knowing how to fight till the end, all of that, that is indeed an art. That is indeed something that is learned. And that's something right now the Browns are not showing us. And you need to get there. But outside of that, to your point, the Browns are indeed, I think that they are offering more than people gave them credit for. The defense, however, is frustrating me.
That's a nice way to put it.
I like
Yeah,
that. I like
you're
that
being kind.
segue.
Aditi, is the league, and I'll make it more specific, are the Browns leaning too heavily on analytics? It almost feels like gut and sometimes human logic over a computer logic has been completely pushed out of the way teams are coaching and making big decisions. Are you feeling that at all or no?
I think that there is an outside prism. I don't really know how to say this, Jay, other than to say, like, literally just this morning, I was texting with a general manager in the league who asked me, how's the new job going? And I said, I love being on the field. I love the energy of that. But holy cow, am I suddenly privy to how much on the outside has gotten wrong. And I'll give you an example in the city of Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh right now, everybody wants to run the offensive coordinator out. Everybody thinks this is the most boring, not creative state offense that there is. I actually talked to somebody who is a member of a coaching staff that has faced the Steelers already, whose job it is to watch film and see what other teams are doing. And this coach said to me, that's a really sound scheme. And I like the way they're trying to run the ball. And I love the way they move the pocket. And that is a team that is well coached and is going to be okay.
But they got they're not, Aditi.
They want to burn the whole thing down.
They
want to run Mike Tomlin out. And so, Adam, to that point, I'm saying that, like, when you sit here and you're kind of on the inside, you realize how much on the outside is perceived incorrectly. So you may be sitting here saying, okay, this is an over-reliance on analytics, but that might not actually be it. And I'll give you another example. When they say that, like, why is John Harbaugh going for it? He's relying on analytics. No, maybe he's relying on the fact that he has no healthy corners, so he doesn't want to play overtime. You know, like, we don't always know the whole story. I don't know that this is really a reliance on analytics, Jay. I just think that people like to look for excuses, or people like to look for reasons. I mean, sometimes the other guy just beats you.
I know, but sometimes the like, to me, on the Steelers thing, I understand what you're saying in terms of a system being sound. A scheme can be sound, but if it's not working, and the only analytics that fans are looking at is 1 and 3, and so they're saying, but, and that's what I'm wondering, and I'm glad you brought out the Harbaugh thing, because the cameras caught some friction on the Ravens sideline at the end of that game, and I don't know if you were even able to watch it or if you've seen it back, but they were in a situation where you just want to let them score. You don't want a no-mas situation where they can now kill the clock, and that's exactly what ended up happening. Do you know, can you take us inside that situation? Have you talked to anybody in Baltimore to find out exactly what was going on there?
No, but did you see how close Odafe Owe came to poking that ball out and winning that game?
I did.
I mean, like, this close.
I know.
So, also, as much as this scheme may be sound, as much as players may be coached right, as much as chemistry might be right, this at the end of the day is about performance. And how many times have you heard a player say, well, those guys get paid too? You know? And so
Or every play is designed to go for a touchdown.
Sure, but I think that every coach, I mean, at the end of the day, coaches coach and players play. And so a coach can make a decision, or a coach can, again, I'm using an analogy, and I hate that I keep coming to analogies, but as parents, we try to do our best. You know, our intentions are always sound, and we may screw it up. And we may think we're right now, and 15 years from now, our kids may tell us that we totally screwed it up. But we're trying to do our best. And I believe that John Harbaugh is doing everything he can to put his team in a situation to win, or Kevin Stefanski, or Mike Tomlin, whoever it is. I just think that sometimes there are other variables that we don't necessarily consider, and maybe we don't want to. Maybe there's no fun in that. Maybe it's easier to kind of be the hot take artist. But if you want to look a little bit deeper, there may actually be more at play. And it's quite interesting when you get to that deeper point.
Aditi,
this is probably so vague. If you know what, if I was listening to myself, I'd be so annoyed right now.
Right.
Give me specifics.
Yes,
Give me specifics.
I'm going to get specific with you. Let's start patting me on the back, because while everybody else was telling me how good Mitch Trubisky was going to be this year, I said he sucked. I said he'd be benched, and I've been vindicated. Number one. Number two. Have
you? Look, as much as I love Kenny Pickett, and I really do, like, open bias right here. I love Kenny Pickett. Love Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
I can't really tell you that the offense was significantly different.
Oh, no.
That the pocket
Kenny
moved
Pickett being bad.
No,
the offensive line is
I'm not. Kenny Pickett's still no good in the Steelers, but that's my second thing. I'm going to be. I was also the one that said that, and I said this last year, and I was wrong. It's a bad job out of me. But this year, I said the Steelers would be under 500 for the first time in the Mike Tomlin era. Everybody laughed. I'm going to be proven right. They should be 0. If we're going to say the Browns should be this and that, the Steelers should be 0-4. They laughably, if the Bengals long snapper hadn't been hurt, the Steelers would have lost a game where they won the turnover margin by 5, and they still should have lost the game. Their offense is the worst in football. It will not get any better, and they will win 5 games this year. And I'll be vindicated. No? You disagree?
Okay. All right. Disagree? Yeah, I definitely disagree. But Mikey McNuggets, you saved that, right?
Save it.
We'll save it. Yeah,
5 wins, maybe 6.
Aditi, as much as I'd like to say Bull's way off base here, that offensive line and the fact that T.J. Watt might actually, I don't know if he's going to come back from this thing and play this year or be productive. We had DeQuell tell us that he sat out the 6 to 8 weeks with the torn pec, and when he came back on the very first play, he completely tore it, and his season was over. But I'd like to say, Bull, you're crazy because I always bet on the Steelers. But Aditi, I don't know that he's wrong this time. I'm watching it. I'm trying to see anything positive, and I don't see it.
You think they're going to turn it around?
I do think that there will be better play. I will tell you that I am very disappointed in the wide receivers. That counts for something, I think. I think that there were 3 interceptions in that game, in Sunday's Steelers game, that were balls off the hands of receivers. And I'll tell you, Adam, you and I were both in New York when Eli Manning, the year before the Giants won the Super Bowl, Eli Manning threw 25 interceptions. Yeah. And I was at the Wall Street Journal at the time, and I took the coach's tape in the offseason and watched the all 22 of all 25 interceptions. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was either 14 or 15 were clearly not his fault. I mean, if 6'6" Ramses Barden gets 2 hands on the ball and Eli puts it exactly where it's supposed to be for a 6'6" receiver, and the guy can't come down with the ball and it flings off his hands, is that really the quarterback's fault?
Aditi,
there was
that's
an
a great
interception where
point.
the Knicks ran the wrong route in the end zone. So
why don't we come up with a metric? And because it's kind of subjective. When you look at targets and drops, what you may look at and say, oh, that's clearly a drop. Someone else might look at it and say, no, it actually wasn't a drop. So I know that there's going to be some gray area, but I completely agree with your point. And I remember that year, and I remember the broadcaster saying throughout the season, why don't they have 2 stats for interceptions? One that are on the quarterback, and then just another one that's tipped ball.
PFF.
I mean, I remember that year with Eli.
Takes that into account.
He underthrew a ball to Steve Smith, a long ball. I think it was against the Colts. He underthrew a ball. Okay, that's on Eli.
That's on Eli.
But when Hakeem Nicks cuts the wrong way in the end zone, that's not on Eli. If he throws the ball where the ball's supposed to be. But again, we're kind of going on a major tangent here. My point in saying that is that you're looking at the Steelers offense, and it's not one thing. The same way that we can talk about the Browns offense or we can talk about the Ravens offense. It's never, football is the ultimate puzzle. That's why they tell you it's 1/11. All 11 guys need to do their job. If you have a line and 4 guys block the right way, but 1 guy doesn't, well, that's your weak link. So I just, it feels like a long season, and a lot can still happen. And I know that we see these numbers, not that everything is a falsehood. I was with the Eagles this week. They're 4-0. The Eagles are the most complete team in the NFL right now. They really are. And that 4-0 isn't a fallacy. There's nothing about that that's fake or prettied up. They absolutely are a tremendous team in all spots of what they're doing. But you look at the AFC North, nobody's running away with it right now. The Bengals have taken a while to get going. The Steelers, we don't know. Are they going to right that ship? Are they not? Just on the power of Mike Tomlin, does that mean that they're a 500 team? The Ravens, well, we certainly expected more out of them, especially considering the way that Lamar Jackson is playing. And the Browns, all we've asked for the Browns to do is kind of hold serve until Deshaun Watson gets here. Well, and yet you look at the Browns and you say, well, sure, they're holding serve, they're staying steady, but they've kind of underachieved too. Because you could make an argument that record should be better. So I think that in this sense, it's almost like you're still at ground zero here. Nobody's running away with the division. There's still room to kind of make a leap.
Aditi, I just want to say real quick, as the staunchest of the Eli Manning defenders, I feel very vindicated that all his left-handed red zone interceptions are now clearly not his fault and been erased from the record.
Congrats, Eli.
Thank you.
He should not be in the Hall of Fame, though.
Michael, do you like watching Eli on Monday Night Football?
Oh, they were great last night.
The Manning cast is must-watch TV. They're amazing.
They were so good last night. When the protester ran on the field, I thought Peyton was genius. He said, I can understand why the A team can't show that, but come on, we're the B team. We should be allowed to show it. And then he breaks down the hit on the protester. It was just, it's must-see TV.
Wait, can we get a side-by-side of Bobby Wagner and James Harrison? James Harrison leveled that guy in Cleveland or in Cincinnati?
I think it was Cleveland. Wasn't he here?
Yeah. So can we pull? Are we allowed to get that footage of Bobby Wagner
to play
the pink protester and what James Harrison did?
We're gonna break the rules. We're gonna do it.
Well, there's a fan tweeted a high angle from last night's game. I know we can show that.
No, legally we still can't show it.
Why? It's not NFL property.
It technically is, but we're gonna show it anyway. We're gonna show it anyway.
Okay.
Good.
And
I
Mikey,
love it when McNuggets is a rebel.
Right? Like that.
Yeah, it was classic. It was so good. And just as good, I sent the text to the group. It was so good, I rewound the game and played it back and recorded it and sent it to our group.
Wait. There's a group text and I'm not on it?
You don't want any of
want to
this.
be a part of
You
it,
do
dude.
not want
Trust
any
me.
of
Yeah,
this.
there's 100 texts a day. Bobby Wagner just lays him out.
I mean, he gave that one first dude a move, though.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, the yellow coat has no chance.
He did cut.
But
He did make a nice
Wagner's
right
got
there.
him.
I love how we universally celebrate this guy getting hit, too. No one feels bad for him for a
I
second.
do. I actually do feel
All
bad.
right,
I
well,
don't feel bad for him.
Why? I mean,
No.
he's in a place
I
he's
mean,
not.
it's not. Was it
Why do you feel
necessary
bad?
to like?
How do you know what he's holding in his hand?
That's true. Could that guy sue Bobby Wagner?
No.
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 Yeah.
He's trespassing.
What was he doing?
Bobby
Do we
Wagner's
know?
also sending a message to other people to probably not try
That's
that.
just like
Yes,
saying,
don't come out here.
an important
Don't come out on the
deterrent.
field.
That's
Where's
like-
the Harrison hit? Can you pull up the Harrison hit too?
No, I don't think we have
talk
that
about
one.
suing you. That's like somebody in January 6th suing the government.
Didi, I don't want to break the
tackled
rules
me
once
like
per
that.
show,
happening.
so next time on
don't
Thursday
come
we'll have
in
the
here.
Harrison. We'll have the Harrison.
And
clip
now
ready.
I gotta ask. This is the real deal. You made me feel kind of good. You said everybody in the AFC North is bottom, and you know we still.
No, I just
all
said
we
it's
gotta
open.
do- All
It's
we gotta
open,
do is
G.
hold it up, hold it down.
The Steelers are 1 week from being in first place, by the way.
We just
And
talked.
everybody else is 1 week from being in last place.
Look at their schedule the
Okay, and the
next 4 weeks.
Steelers are going to the Bills, right? Are the Steelers in Buffalo this week?
Yeah,
Steelers-
they are.
Steelers have the toughest
They're a
remaining
two-touchdown
schedule in the
dog.
NFL.
Now y'all didn't kill the Steelers. Y'all didn't kill them.
I gotta
They're going to
I
be
have a
one.
story.
They're going to be 2 and
But-
6.
Mitch Trubisky.
But this
Steelers.
Browns defense is the worst in the entire division. I don't see. I'm confused because Joe Woods and his defense. At one point in time, when Anders Zadejo was here, I refused to say his name. I said number 23 for a long time.
Sure.
How are they regressing in the secondary? I don't understand how there's people. Can you explain, Aditi, like how they are open like all the time? And
I mean, it is alarming, and you know why it's especially alarming, G? It's when I like guys who talk who can back up the talk. And this is a defense that's been the entire camp saying, we were top 5 last year, we want to be number 1. And we had people all over the place saying, this is a defense that we think could be a number 1 defense. We think this could be a number 1 defense. This defense has all the pieces. And granted, you don't expect Clowney to get hurt. You don't expect Anthony Walker to be out. You don't expect Myles Garrett, which we should have a conversation about this, by the way. And I may have a very unpopular take, but I do want to say something about that. Those are all pieces, but despite that, this is not about scheme. This is just about doing what you're supposed to do. I mean, doing your
it's
job.
both, though.
And I think that's way more alarming than anything else.
I think you're right,
That's
but
not happening.
I think there's some blame on the scheme, Aditi. I mean, there's no aggression in this defense at all. They never blitz at all. If you have such a talented secondary, allegedly, well, why can't we blitz more? If you have
Yeah, but you
corners-
know what's funny? The Bengals barely blitzed last year. They knew that they could bring pressure with just the front 4. And the Browns thought that they could. And sure, you could make the argument that right now, without Clowney and Garrett, they need to make adjustments, our favorite word as football fans, adjustments, and do a little bit more of that. But, I mean, I remember having the conversation with the Bengals defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, last year, being like, why aren't you blitzing Mike Hilton?
Okay,
Because
but-
Mike Hilton, to me, was the best blitzer out of the secondary in the NFL.
My bad. To your point, Lou Anarumo, in that Chiefs AFC Championship game, made one of the most noticeable adjustments I've ever seen in a football game, and they won the game because of that. Everybody said Mahomes choked. He was thrown off because the Bengals completely played defense in a different way. Look at this past week when the Bengals played the Dolphins, okay? DJ Reader didn't play in the game because he got hurt the week before. He's their as you know, he's their best run stopper, and he changed. The defense was a little different this week, the way they play against the run, because he didn't have his best run stuffer, and he knew he needed some help there. So I'm not seeing these, like we have Myles Garrett out, Jadeveon Clowney out. You know, with no Myles Garrett especially, you are not getting to the court. Your front sucks. The Browns front, as currently constituted with the injuries, is horrible. They're never getting to the quarterback. You got to blitz a little, don't you? Don't you got to create some
I don't disagree with you.
marks?
I mean, I don't disagree with you. And I think that that's one of the magical things about the Bengals defense last year is how smart they were. Jesse Bates-Bombell in the back, Logan Wilson, who's a criminally underrated linebacker. And those guys could adjust on the fly to some degree. So there is that piece of that. But I do, I'll ask you this because obviously I've been, drowning in Eagles and Jaguars the last week.
Literally.
Has there been any talk of any sort of punishment for Myles Garrett?
Nope.
That brings up a good point, Aditi.
I don't think they should.
We heard, this is the first I heard of it, that he might be out 4 or 5 games now, according to one of these gentlemen. What does that mean for the Browns, and what do you think that means for Myles Garrett, and did he let this team and this city down?
Well, so that's my point right there, right? Myles Garrett came in this year, and all anybody would talk about is that he's taken everything to a different level. His leadership, his presence, his desire to not be such a loner, but to actually be around for his teammates in a different way. Robert Saleh called him a man on a mission to us. Joe Wood said that he's never seen Myles Garrett play the way that he's playing right now. But there is a responsibility to be available as well. And I will say this, everybody knows that I am not a Ben Roethlisberger apologist by any means. But one of the things that we say that the NFL community says about Ben Roethlisberger in his youth is he got on that motorcycle. And was that irresponsible? And did that show a full commitment to a team? And, players have written in their contracts all the time, you're not supposed to, go skydiving or go skiing or whatever their things are. It's this idea that you make sure you're available to your team. So a week ago, I was on with you and I said, how horrible is it that Myles Garrett had this accident? And the photos are so scary. And immediately people are jumping the gun and saying, oh, he was speeding. Oh, he was irresponsible. Oh, he was this, that, and the other. And I said, let's let our first step be, okay, is he okay? Is he healthy? Is his girlfriend, is the person that was in the car with him healthy as well? Are they all right? And then it was, let's, wait before we cast judgment or assign blame in some way. And then out comes the story that he's swerving to avoid an animal. And it's like, okay, well, maybe this is why we shouldn't cast blame. Well, now here we are a week later, and there is more information. And he has been cited for speeding. And out comes information that he's gotten how many speeding tickets? Adam, what is it, 7?
I believe it's 7 since 2018.
7 speeding tickets in the last few years.
And Aditi, 2 over 100 miles per hour in a 24-hour span.
Okay, so again, this is a leader of your club. This is a man who's incredibly smart. This is a man that is a captain. This is someone that you want setting every example for who you want to be. Is part of that your responsibility, not just what you do in the building and on the field between the lines, but also what you do outside?
I couldn't agree more.
Certainly.
As far as we know, he's getting paid for missing these games. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and even if it's not like a public censuring of any way, you hope that there's a conversation that says, you know what, your best ability is your availability. And if you're making decisions that are not necessarily smart for you or the club, even if it's on your own time, we need to rethink some of that. I mean, Myles Garrett just took himself out of, a quarter of his team's season?
Potentially, yeah.
Because he wanted to drive faster than he should have. And again,
at a time when it's all about
wonderful.
defense.
He's amazing. This is a person that
Criticism
you want.
is completely fair, in my opinion.
I agree.
It's completely fair. If I'm the Browns, I'm not suspending him. I wouldn't do that.
No. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I think there's a conversation that needs to be had. I just think that that's it. There's a
100%.
Conversation that needs to be had.
100%.
And I think the conversations has happened in multiple layers. I think his family members have talked to him. I think his agent has probably talked to him.
I think anybody that cares about him should talk to him.
They probably all talk to him.
Because Aditi, I know that this is more about football. We talk about his availability and what this does to the Browns season. And you're right, this could completely hijack the Browns season. He was the one that said, with our quarterback not available, the defense now has to play like a top-ranked defense. We have to step up. He's the leader of that defense. And through his actions, that defense now is a shell of what it was. So aside from the football piece of it, my hope is, to your point, G, that his family members, his friends, his teammates, his bosses are having that conversation with him that, Myles, you're no good to anybody, including yourself, if this continues and it leads to something bigger. He could be paralyzed. It could be worse. He and his passenger could have been killed. You've seen the pictures of the car. I think there needs to be an intervention with Myles Garrett, who clearly has a problem with driving safely. And I think that's fair. Anybody that cares for Miles and knows him.
I think it's a fair point. And again, it's not a knock on who he is as a human. It's not to rip him or put him on the defensive. It's merely that sometimes we have this moment, like what's that cliche, where the rubber meets the road or whatever, where you have an opportunity to kind of look at where you are and say, oh my goodness, I just got really lucky. You know, like those photos are scary.
They are.
You look at that car, every time I see it, Mikey, you just put it back up on the screen, I shudder. I mean, that is really, really scary. And in the grand scheme of things, 4 football games, 5 football games, whatever, we're happy that he and his passenger came out of that with their lives and with no really major serious injuries. But oh my gosh, look at that car.
Aditi, if we were to try and kill 3 birds with 1 stone and have a 3-person intervention by sitting down Myles Garrett, Stefanski, and yourself to try and stop him from speeding, to try and tell Coach Stefanski to run the ball when he needs to, and to try and tell you that Mitch Trubisky will never be a competent quarterback, would you be open to that three-timer intervention with all 3 of you at once to save time?
I mean, I'm happy to do it. I think that,
that's the sign of maturity.
Yes, that's right.
I know that Kevin Stefanski is a man without an ego, and
accepting the problem is a big step in your growth.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Agreed.
And your hair looks really nice today, by the way. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but your hair looks nice.
It does.
It does. It looks nice. Everyone was thinking it there. I said it.
I did not, Aditi. I did not reveal your secrets.
Okay. Well, that's nice.
I second Mike's compliment. I think it looks very nice.
I'm too scared.
We're all scared to compliment a woman now.
We are.
We're all scared.
I'm serious.
According to the pamphlet on social norming, as a man,
we're not allowed to.
You look at the ground.
Yeah, you're not allowed to compliment. You're not allowed to compliment.
Well, me 10 years ago would have thought your hair looked really nice, Aditi.
By the way, real quick, Aditi, real quick before you go, I know we got to go real quick. Mike, I know you're frustrated.
Can I steal your news? I know you're going to say Kenny Pickett officially named starter. I stole Bull's thunder.
That was not my stealing of thunder, but
I don't think there was any question.
It is Steelers related. Real quick, Steelers next 4 games at the Bills, Buccaneers at home, at the Dolphins, at the Eagles. How many are they winning to those?
That's crazy.
That's brutal.
Hey guys, I have a bad connection. I'll talk to you later. Okay? Have a wonderful day.
See you at the intervention, Aditi.
Yep. See you at 8. See you at 8.
We'll
see you at the HR meeting and then the intervention.
It's so funny.
That's tough because the Browns schedule is, I mean, they've got the Patriots in there, but their next 7
with Brian Hoyer, right? Is that with Brian Hoyer?
No, it's going to be with
Axel Hoyer.
Or
Bailey Zappi.
Zappi.
Oh, Bailey Zappi.
Who had moments on Sunday.
Bailey Zappi. Maybe he's the next Tom Brady.
If you lose to Bailey Zappi, you may have to just.
Oh, that's gonna.
Don't act like
we'll
we
drive
have not.
the nail in this season. If they lose to the
We've lost the worst with Bailey Zappi.
We've lost
driving
the
the nail
worst.
You could tell Mike is new to Cleveland because he just said if they lose to Bailey Zappi, we haven't sat through those.
I lost to Charlie Batch, like a couple of times.
Remember when Brandon Allen made his Bengals backup made his NFL debut against the Browns off the street, basically?
Odell Beckham Jr. signed his deal to get the heck up out of here after that game.
Yeah.
He just
you
was
want to know
like.
the best Bailey Zappi fact ever, by the way?
Yes.
There's more than one?
There's more than one. He started his career at Houston Baptist, which played Sam Houston, which is a school I covered in Texas.
Yeah.
The side of the Houston Baptist football stadium, which is the single worst athletic facility in America, is a CVS parking lot. When you kick a field goal, you kick it into a CVS parking lot. And that is where Bailey Zappi started his collegiate career.
Now he's the Patriots
so
quarterback.
Just
They
imagine
actually said that on the game. They said from Houston Baptist to Western Kentucky to playing quarterback for Bill Belichick, all in the span of 2 years.
Just imagine somebody carrying bags in CVS parking lot and a football hitting them and dropping both bags.
I'm gonna get a picture. Hold on.
Egg smack.
I'm starting to realize something. The Texas people might be as bad as the New York people. Like in Texas.
In terms of what?
In terms of like when they say their name, I was in Texas. Even when he said it with pride, I used to cover Sam Houston. He said it like it was they believe they are great. Like they got their own power grid and everything.
Yeah.
They just
Well, it doesn't work. But
Sometimes it does. As long as no one's using it too much.
It's hit or miss. There's a lot of Texas pride.
Oh, God.
Whole lot of Texas pride.
Whole lot.
Yep.
But all that being said, I don't know that everybody in Texas runs around wearing T-shirts that say Texas on them.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of take the cake.
New York, oh, God, listen.
I mean,
I don't see a lot of people in New York wearing I Love New York shirts. Here, it's all Cleveland, which is fine, but
we're trying to convince ourselves and each other. Right? It's fine.
It's fine.
We like it, right? It's all right.
Are we doing good bet, bad bet today? We haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, we are, but hold on. Take it live, Earl. All right, take
I don't
tag
even know where
board
the
live.
standings are.
These dudes just stealing everything on tag board. We'll have a meeting.
That's the CVS. You can't. It's not the clearest of pictures, but that's the CVS right off to the side of the stadium.
That brick building?
Yes, that's CVS.
That's a big CVS.
It's a big huge,
everything's big in Texas, right?
Good looking
That
CVS
looked
there.
like a big drive-through.
No, so the brick building is the CVS?
That's the CVS.
So
yes.
how the hell is the field goal going to end up there?
If you shank a punt, excuse me, when you shank a punt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
ever
you
seen a-
really shank a punt.
Have you ever
But
seen a
also
bigger
the parking
CVS?
lot loops around behind it.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, so like, I'm looking at an aerial view right now. The parking lot loops behind.
Their turf looks straight.
Man.
It's
Their
the
turf
single
looks
worst.
nice.
All right.
The basketball gym holds, no joke, as many people as we hold in this.
Wow.
It's the
Like a
single worst athletic
YMCA
facility
gym.
ever.
That looked
Yeah.
like
But that CVS is huge, I'll tell you that. Everything's bigger in Texas.
everything.
Except for Baker
Are you guys ready
Mayfield.
for good bet, bad bet though, real quick?
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Let's take up the standings here.
Do we
Steve.
have
We have a
any
two-way
standings?
tie atop the leaderboard
Ooh.
after week 4. It is currently.
Who won
Our
the
man.
headline contest, by the way? We never paid that off.
We all picked the Browns to win and they all lost. So no one.
Jason didn't do it?
Jason did not do headlines.
Oh,
It's only
okay.
people on Friday.
Okay.
G and Jason leading the way. Oof, I'm awful right now.
28 and 33. But you know what? You did that to start,
I got off a
and
bad
then you got
start.
serious.
See,
Yep.
hey, listen,
Mike Polkin dead last.
Yeah, I'm just a phoenix waiting to rise from the ashes.
Polk has answered since last week when he got upset that he didn't answer one day. He has
Yeah.
answered every day. We're
Look
very
at
proud
you,
of you.
Mike.
See that?
On top of it.
All it took was cheating me out of 6 potential wins.
did you beat what's the name? Did you beat Jason in fantasy?
I lost by half a point.
Oh,
that's
man.
I was.
Mikey is in dead last.
I'm in dead last, yeah.
One-
Dead last.
More reception.
And literally anything. Literally
Anything.
anything.
5 more yards. Yeah,
And he
that's
had
the word.
Juju Smith-Schuster playing Sunday night, who had 0 receptions in the second half.
0 targets or receptions.
In the second half. He had an okay first half. He
Right.
had 1
yeah.
catch in the second half.
This is a true story.
I
I
needed
once lost a
one.
fantasy championship
Yeah.
on a Cowboys missed extra point.
Oh, my God.
I had their kicker. He missed a meaningless extra point. And I ended
minus
up,
1 point?
I lost the championship by 0.8 points.
that
my
hurts.
God.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was gutted.
That hurts your
Gutted.
soul.
And
Jason
so we
undefeated.
have fantasy expert Dave Richard on tomorrow. Make sure y'all subscribe. We're going to go around the horn real quick with the good bets. Jay,
Okay.
your card's up first. We'll run through these real quick because we got to do Guardians and
Yeah.
Cavs before we get to
I
Ted
am
Matthews.
so pessimistic on Chubb and Njoku, or Njoku and Cooper. I mean, for this game, I don't know. Now I did take the over on Brissett passing
Yeah, so
yards.
you're over on Brissett,
I'm
but
over on
under
Brissett
on
passing
both of
yards
those guys.
because I feel like they're going to hone in on the Chargers. They're going to hone in on the fact that you can take Cooper away from this offense. You've got to make the concerted effort to do it. So I think because of that, somebody, I don't know who, DPJ, Schwartz, maybe it's Bell. Someone's going to have an 8 for 92 kind of a game.
That would be nice.
I do think Cooper and Njoku will get catches. I just don't think that they're going to go over the lots that we had there. The
You
lines
know,
that we
you
had.
know what's painful.
G. Bush, you're up next, by the way.
You know what's painful, Jay, is the fact that just think if you just didn't have Deshaun Watson, and this is what we was doing again, the whole journey. You
Yeah.
know when they say get rid of Baker, and,
Yeah,
and then
right.
This is what it would have looked like if you get rid of Baker and don't go get Deshaun Watson. You're now with journeyman guys. You're trying to scrap
Starting
together.
over.
You're starting over.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it. Don't know. This is a weird thing, but let me preface this. I have a lot of overs on here because I think the Browns are going to be down. I think they're going to get down.
I think that's a safe
I
bet.
see.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be down, and they're going to have.
But how
to-
does Chubb go over 96 yards then?
Well, he's going to break a long one.
He will.
He'll break a long one, and then all of a sudden they'll ratchet it down. 68 ain't that many yards. 70 they'll get it trying to come back in the third and fourth quarter. I think that the Chargers are going to put up 34, and I'm not hating. I'm just saying 34 to almost 40 that they can get. And I think the Browns put up some points too. They might have 21, 24 points, but I think they'll be down in this game, and they're going to have to throw the football, and you're going to see what it looks like when the Browns have to literally throw the ball to come back. They don't have those capabilities, and you've seen it. Jacoby Brissett, when they're down, he just
In their 2 losses, he threw interceptions on both of their last
and
drives.
did not need to even throw him there. He could have. He panicked in this last one. I don't know what.
I don't know where it was going.
You know,
They were.
Folks up
You
next.
could argue they were already in field goal range, or they
They
were close
were.
to field goal range.
just get half of it back.
Yeah, just.
It was 50. It would have been a 58-yard field goal.
And he's
That's
made that.
crazy.
And it was in a dome
Now you're
with
trying
no
to win
conditions.
because it's a 3-point game. You're trying to score a touchdown in
Right.
theory. But
Sure, you'd like to, but
Or
let's
run
get
the
it to
ball from
overtime.
there.
That's
I did the absolute opposite of G. Bush. Look at this. I did
Right.
all unders and an over.
I think that's what I had, I think.
I don't disagree.
No, you had
with,
two overs.
yeah, you
I
had,
had,
you
I
had
had
Cooper.
over on the passing yards.
Yeah.
I don't disagree that they'll be playing from behind, but I think where you're mistaken, G, is that you'd have to have some kind of competence in order to act on the fact that you're behind. So you also have to complete those passes to open receivers who can catch the ball. And I haven't seen the ability to do that as of late. And I'm not saying the thing is, these numbers are tricky and they're made this way, obviously, by Vegas,
Right.
because some of them are dancing right on the edge. I don't think anything's going to be a huge differential in any of these. I wouldn't be surprised if Chubb ran for 90 yards. I wouldn't be surprised if Donald Peoples-Jones got 36 yards instead of 40. But it's all those. I think all those mediocre numbers are going to probably lean towards the negative rather than the positive this week. That's all.
All right. Enough of all these negative Nancy's
Bulls got
over
5
here.
overs.
No, I actually don't. I got 3. I actually think, first of all, I'm going to, safe bet is whatever Nick Chubb's rushing yards are for the week, I will bet over.
Yeah,
every time.
That is pretty safe.
It doesn't mean he's going to go over every time, but he will almost every time. So I'm going to go the over every time. I don't think Jacoby Brissett, I think he's going to end up kind of where he normally is, in the low 200s, maybe even the high 100s. Amari Cooper, I don't think is going to have a big game, but I think David Njoku will, and here's why. The Chargers are not good up front, especially without Bosa. They have a good secondary. It's kind of like what the Browns should be right now, except the Browns secondary is not really performing.
They do have Khalil Mack, and he has 5 sacks.
That's one player. They don't have
just
much
wanted
else.
to throw that out there.
It's more than our defensive line.
In 3 out of 4
love
games
one
this
player.
year, 3 out of 4 games, the Chargers have given up 60 or more yards to the tight end. The only game they didn't was against Jacksonville, and I don't even know who Jacksonville's tight end is. They don't have a tight end. So when they faced a decent tight end, they've given up at least 60 yards. So I think the passes are all. I don't think they're going deep in this game very often, and so I think Njoku will have a good game. I think he's going to have 80 yards. I think DPJ has like 50. I think Amari Cooper has a decent game, better than last week, but not over 80 or whatever it was. So there you go.
You have him under 280. Man, that's a tough cut. Under 200 yards?
I think they're going to – I'm going to hope that Kevin Stefanski finally listens to me and us, I should say, and
I know he watches the
runs
show.
the ball.
He's a big-time watcher. He's
He's
in the chat
watching
every
right
day.
now.
In
He's
the
in
chat
the
every
chat.
day.
How you doing, Coach?
Asking for advice, stuff like that.
Definitely.
Hey, Coach.
That's
Do you
what
think
he's
I
looking
should
for.
run Hunt and Chubb out there at the same time?
Yes.
And
Well-
asking for a friend, KS.
Did I tell you guys, by the way, that the wedding I went to a couple weeks ago, my buddy who got married, his dad babysitted Kevin Stefanski.
You told
back
us that. Yeah.
I can't keep up with his wedding. He goes to a wedding every second week.
That was
your
the
friends
worst.
are getting hits
That might
at
have been
an
the worst
alarming
name.
rate.
That might have been
I
the
know.
worst name drop I've heard in 5 years.
Kevin Stefanski's
I know a guy at a
babysitter.
wedding who babysat Kevin Stefanski's child.
By the way, it's a little
No,
creepy.
babysat Kevin Stefanski.
Go ahead, talk
It's a
that
little
up.
creepy.
Here's
Like,
that alley-oop.
who's hiring a male babysitter? That's a little weird.
get it.
Unless it's a family member or
Hey,
something.
After a certain
can't.
age.
There is
after-
no way I'm getting a male babysitter.
I'm not letting.
And that's not fair.
No.
Because most guys are all right, but
Yeah,
I'm not-
but
I'm
if you
not
follow
thinking-
the news in Cleveland, there was a
male babysitter.
guy was sentenced yesterday for abuse
Yeah.
to little kids that he was babysitting.
Yeah, when we-
Unthinkable abuse.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's going to be in prison
He
for.
goes to the unthinkable.
Right.
Man.
Oh, listen. I mean, dude,
Awful.
the details of this
No.
case.
We're good without
Yeah.
it. I don't know if that represents
Hey,
all
but
male
I will-
Of course there's not, but when we were looking for like a babysitter for my son when he was really young, I was like, we're not even considering guys.
We've also seen footage with the hidden cameras of female babysitters knocking kids around.
That's true.
So look,
You never know.
let's not stereotype, but you got to be careful. Whoever you
Absolutely.
hire, do some background.
And
Yeah,
by the way,
100%.
By the way, I've already had a rule. I'm not having no kids stay at my house. You go home. I don't want you. You can't say
We had
nothing.
That's a good rule overall,
My
regardless.
friend, my son had
Bad things can happen.
his buddy sleep over our house.
Sleepover joints.
We did sleep over this weekend. My buddy had his friend sleep over.
So like.
Hey,
I'm
you
not
know,
my buddy.
I'm like, what is
Aaron,
hold on.
my son had his
Your
buddy
buddy
sleep
stayed
over.
the night.
Not my buddy. Not my buddy.
honey,
my,
can my
son-
friend sleep over
I was
tonight?
kind of mad. I'm like, why'd I get left out of the sleepover?
my son had his
By the way,
buddy
does
sleep
your
over.
wife call you Bull or Adam?
No, she doesn't call me Bull.
The bull.
I wondered that a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
I forgot
Yo.
to ask you.
Although some of people that meet her will call her Mrs. Bull,
That's
and
funny.
some people will call my son Little Bull or Baby Bull.
I just
or
pictured
whatever.
your wife like yelling out the window because dinner's ready. She's like, the bull.
Well, you've met
The
my
bull,
wife.
dinner is ready. No, I
Mike
know.
and I had
she
dinner.
Does not, she doesn't call you the bull.
Yeah.
That's like
That would be
so glad.
The
Yeah.
only way that worked, like McNuggets and Earl can stay over each other's house. They go drinking.
They can?
And it's an age limit.
they're young enough.
They're young, you drinking.
they can pass
But
out.
Earl's got a kid.
Hey, that don't matter.
that's all
He's
right.
still in the streets.
Got
Yeah.
two.
Two kids, I should say.
That's all right.
You know what? Earl's a lot older than I thought.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right.
I was shocked
Yeah,
to find
Earl-
out
Why are
he
you
had-
doing this to him right
Yeah.
now?
No, Anthony and Mike can sleep over each other's
No.
house. That's more
Yeah.
appropriate.
No.
Anthony, you and Mike can sleep at each other's house according to Bull.
Hey, Earl.
Earl is a no-go. He's
Earl,
got
no
kids.
go because you have kids.
That's
Sorry,
over
man.
30.
That's the alibi.
She's too old. Earl's got too many. He's got kids, so he's out.
I know Earl done used this before. She was like, "Where were you?"
Well,
at?
wait a second, Jay.
I
If you have
stayed
a
the night
buddy
over
that
my
lives out of
people's
town,
house.
you wouldn't let a buddy stay at your house?
Oh,
You
no,
would.
no, that's completely
If I
different.
stayed at a friend's
yeah.
like a month
Yeah.
ago. I stayed at a man friend's house on the east side because I wasn't driving back in the state I was in. I guess you could call that a sleepover.
there
but
are
really, I was just trying
exceptions
to
to
make
the
rule.
yeah.
You
But yeah, when
guys-
I have friends visit from out of state, of course.
Right.
Yes.
You guys have guest rooms though.
Yes.
I got
Yeah, they're not sleeping.
Now I woke up with like a cat on me and a toddler looking at me.
We got futons, and you can crash right now. See, here's the thing: there's levels to this thing. Y'all, they got a room where they don't even touch it. They just go sweeping vacuum.
There's a bottle of
every now
water
and
on the nightstand
then.
right
There it
now
is,
in case someone stops
and a
by.
mint on the pillow.
No
He
doubt.
got it together. He's like, yeah, you can use. They even got a shepherd shower for them.
Right.
It's not the public one. It's just one attached to the side wing. I haven't been stalking you or anything.
Meanwhile,
Whenever my son has a friend sleep over, which we haven't done a ton because during COVID we didn't do it.
Sure.
But whenever my son has a friend sleep over, they barely sleep.
They're
No,
in
I
the
know.
game.
Yeah, they're
I
up
mean,
until
barely-
4 in the morning.
I woke up at I get up early a lot of times, and I was up at 6 in the morning, and I hear them in my son's room.
Doing
Like,
the
oh
game.
man! I go in there. I'm like,
That's
how
cool.
how long you guys been up since? They're like 5 o'clock. We both woke up at the same time, which I'm sure was not the case. I'm sure one of them woke up and woke the other one
Age
up.
limit
Yeah.
on that. Age limit is 15. After you get to be 15, there's
Yeah.
too much stuff going on. I don't know what y'all doing.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, you down there. Y'all
Worried about shenanigans.
You trying to smoke weed down? You sneaking out the bedroom window? No.
Up to no
Yeah.
good.
No.
The collective IQ goes down with each teenager you add to the group.
Yeah.
Right. Right now, worst they're doing is just drinking a lot of soda down there.
Nah, he doesn't.
Something like
drink
that.
soda. My son
Well,
doesn't
he
drink
doesn't even
soda.
do that.
Rate
Good
the
kids.
M&Ms.
My
Yeah,
son saw me drink a beer recently, and
Oh,
I don't
no.
drink ever.
Yeah.
And I had a beer, and we had a block party.
Is he in
on.
counseling now?
No, but he was like, Daddy, are you drinking a beer? He was like, just couldn't believe it.
Wow. I would have been like, Daddy, you're not drinking a beer when I was your kid's age?
Hey guys, I know I opened this can of worms with that
Yeah.
massive name drop, but
Go ahead.
we do got to talk a little Guardians.
Yes.
Just 60 seconds
All
before
right.
we
All
get
right,
to
they-
Jet Matthews. So
They lost last
Let's
night
pivot.
5-2. That's a side note.
Yeah.
It's a sidebar. I
Down
like the
to
way
two-
he used McKenzie.
Yeah.
5 innings and got him out of there.
Right.
You know what was
They lost
refreshing?
in
Sorry.
extras.
Saturday, I was at the game for no reason,
Yeah.
obviously. And
Yeah.
what I
Well,
loved
no,
was...
it was they raised the banner.
Yes,
Saturday.
that was fun, sure. But my point is, I love the vibe there right now because all these games are gravy right now, and everyone, it's mostly people there. They all stuck around, even though it was the game's meaningless, but everybody had a good time. Nobody's mad, nobody's stressed.
Right. There's
And,
no stress.
And
Yeah,
it's a
we
lot,
lose, so what?
And a lot of these people who are at this game is what I'm realizing is these are people who probably know they're not going to be able to afford or be able to get playoff tickets to these wild card games,
Yeah.
and they want to be able to see this team and congratulate them before
right.
they go. And it was
Yeah.
a really good vibe and a good feeling.
And I'll
That's all.
tell you something else that's great. I think, you and I, Jay, talked a week ago about trusting Francona to find that right balance of rest versus rust.
I think he's done a great job
nailed
there.
it perfectly.
Yep, perfect.
They're still clearly playing to win,
Yep.
but not at all costs.
And he's giving guys breaks.
Yep.
He-
Rosario off yesterday.
Yep, he
and-
let Ramirez DH one game.
Right,
He took him out of the
right.
field.
Yep.
Bo Naylor's been called up, so he's given the
right,
catchers
which was
a
nice.
spell.
I love what I've seen from Brennan in the outfield.
Yeah, you're right about the mix. I think he's nailed it.
Yeah.
He's still playing his guys to win. He doesn't want to mail these games in. It looks like at this point
Right.
it's going to be the Rays.
Probably.
It looks like it.
We need that portrait.
By the
behind
way,
us.
if they do end up tied, they'll play the Mariners because the Rays won the season series.
if the Rays lose
Right.
both, if the Rays win both and the Mariners lose both, then it's the Rays.
The Mariners got 3 games left.
Yeah, but
They have
that
3.
it has to happen like that.
It has to happen where they win out.
If
and
the Rays
Mariners
lose a
out.
game or the Mariners,
it's locked in.
The Rays
Yeah.
have to win 2, and the Mariners would have to lose 2 of 3 for it to be the Mariners playing the Guardians. 'Cause
Yes.
If they end up tied, they'll play the Mariners because the Rays would have the tiebreaker to move up a spot.
Now, we talked about this, about the team that I would rather see Seattle. You said it really doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Tampa scares me just because Kevin Cash is, for my money, he's
Yeah.
right there with Tito. He's a disciple of Tito. He learned how to manage under Tito. Their teams are very similar. But I'll tell you, they're limping right now. They've
Yeah,
lost
I was just gonna say
7
that.
of their last 10 games. That's not the way you want to go into the
No,
playoffs
they're
at
playing
all.
terrible baseball right now. Their lineup's been awful.
Yeah, I know.
Their pitching is a little like the Mariners' pitching is on point right now.
Their pitching is definitely better.
I was with you, but I think right now, and maybe I'm prisoner of the moment because the Rays are playing awful baseball and they could turn it around when they're in the playoffs. Right now, I'd rather play Tampa. I'll tell you another thing that I noticed, and this doesn't always play itself out. It might not matter in the playoffs. The Rays have been awful on the road this year. Awful. If you look at their home-road split, the Rays have 50 wins at home and like 32 on the road or something. A little more than that, but they've been awful on the road, whereas the Mariners basically have the same home-road record.
Yeah.
Will that matter in the playoffs? I don't know.
You want the exact numbers real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. It's a big difference.
The Rays are 51-30 at home and 35-44 on the road.
Yeah, that is big.
That's bad.
That's not an anomaly.
And the Mariners, I think, have the exact same record home, or maybe it's a half-game difference.
The Mariners
the Guardians are better at home, but they've got a good road record, too.
Right. But the Mariners have a good road record.
The Guardians actually have more wins on the road than they do at home. 46-44.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Only have 2 games left.
They could finish with 46, both home and on the road.
The Mariners, by the way, are 43-35 at home, 44-37 on the road.
Yeah, so they're just as good on the road. So
when the Guardians are playing away, they maybe sometimes get to play in front of a crowd. That probably helps out a lot.
Yeah, hey, there's people here to watch.
Wow, it's
and
fun
the
having
Mariners,
people
meanwhile,
here.
are getting healthy. They just got Suarez back. Julio Rodriguez, their best player, came off the IR yesterday.
Yeah, I know.
And
He's
played.
ready to
So
go.
I do need to ask this. If and I'm not being negative, but if they come out and they lose the first game,
they can't lose the series.
How will that change your mindset?
Well, obviously, now you've got to win too. Your back is. That's why game one in any series is the most important.
I want to throw up when you said that, by the way.
No, I was just thinking about that. Like, if you lose with Bieber on the hill and everything is set up for you, it's disastrous. It really is. It doesn't mean you can't come back and win it, but this isn't the best of 7 where you can make it up in the middle.
Yeah.
You lose game one, and you're in a really tough spot, if you're playing at home.
Because I don't think people know it's a best of 3 like that.
Yeah, right.
I think they think it is 5 or 7.
I wonder if the team's too young to realize it, that the Guardians have lost 8 straight playoff games.
They don't care about that.
I hope that gives me a little anxiety, which is why I want them to win, because I feel like if they win in the first round, they have a good chance to make a long run.
There's a handful of guys on this team that were there.
Really, just Jose at this point.
Well, but I mean,
Bieber.
Justin Bieber. This is what scares me.
Justin
the next
Bieber.
question
You
here,
said Justin
Shane Bieber. You know why Justin Bieber was on my mind? You want to see what that knucklehead did yesterday?
You listened to him on the way in?
No, he was. Someone took pictures of him taking a leak on a country club in L.A., like this exclusive country club. He was wearing.
I like the message.
Just
like outside, or somebody took a shot of him in the bathroom.
They said you got to turn your head around outside.
Did they get a shot of his Bieber?
I didn't look at it. I just saw the headline.
Okay.
Just checking.
Yeah, I'm not going to look at that.
Taking a risk.
Here's what I want to bring this up about Shane Bieber. The question that we wanted to discuss is who's the X factor for the Guardians to make a deep run? Not against the first round series. We don't even know who it's going to be against. Likely it will be the Rays.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk with you guys about who's the X factor on this team if they're to make a deep run. And for me, it's very, very, very simple. It's Shane Bieber. He's made one postseason start. Now I know you shouldn't read into too much. He's 0-1, ERA of 13.5. He gave up 7 earned runs in 4 2/3 against the Yankees in their 2020 loss. However, earlier this year we were talking about what are they going to do with Bieber. He's going to probably be moved. He got it off to a really bad start. Mm-hmm. Since May, he's been Cy Young. Shane
lights
Bieber.
out.
He's 13-8 overall, and I think he started 3-4, if I'm not mistaken. He's 13-8 overall. His ERA, guys, is 2.88.
That's crazy.
That gets you into consideration for some Cy Young talk. 198 strikeouts in 200 innings, almost 1 per. That's who he is. He needs to continue being good Shane Bieber, which there's no indication that he won't. I think he's got 12 quality starts in a row. They need him to go out in game 1 and throw 7 scoreless innings, hand it over to the bullpen to finish the last 2, get that win in game 1, and then you don't take your foot off the gas. But if you win game 1 and you have 2 at home, you have some wiggle room. If he has a bad start and they're 0-1, I don't like their chances to get out of the first round.
No, when I think of X factor for a long run, to me, the first thing I think of as X factor is who's a guy I need to step up besides the stars.
Right.
So I get where you're going with Bieber. Yeah. I'm going to assume
unsung heroes.
Right. I'm going to assume Bieber and even McKenzie, who's young but has been great all season, are going to be excellent. I'm going to assume the same with Clase and some of the top hitters.
And Jose, for that matter.
to me, the X factor of the series or the playoffs, the deep run, is Cal Quantrill. Yeah. That's the X factor for me because the Indians got the bullpen. The lineup is good enough. The defense is great. The base running's great. The top 2 in the rotation, I have a lot of confidence in. Doesn't mean they'll pitch great in the playoffs, but I got confidence in them going in. Quantrill is, sometimes he's really good, and other times he makes you nervous. He's not a dominant pitcher, right? Like he's a smart pitcher. He throws strikes, but he doesn't dominate you.
He's great at home.
He is great at home. Although who was it that told me? Oh yeah.
Well, he leads the league in run support. I think he's averaging 6 runs per start.
He hasn't lost at home in 33 starts.
Right, which is weird.
It's absurd.
But
it's also scary. Because if it's 1-1 in Game 3 and he starts and you've got that streak on the line, that's so Cleveland.
They
for
need
him
to
have
be real. If he's really good in the playoffs, they can make a deep run because you're already going to be a big question mark at your 4th starter, which I hope will use, even though it's risky because I don't want to go.
They don't.
See, I just don't feel good about going short rest with Bieber and McKenzie.
Yeah, but really, honestly, you shouldn't need a 4th starter unless you get into a scenario in ALCS, because the ALDS is 5 games.
Right.
So, but the Alcs, if you get into a scenario
and the World Series, a game 4.
2-2, or game,
game 4. I think you're better off using as risky as it is, even if you have to go to the bullpen
what about
early.
This is an option. Instead of a 4th starter, just go with a bullpen game.
Well, they got enough good arms there.
They've got enough depth in that bullpen where I would trust them to do 3-3 and 2-1.
Well, and it might even be if you feel good about Savali, who has pitched well down the stretch.
Yeah.
Because I don't want nothing to do with Plesac.
I don't want Plesac touching the mound.
No way. But if I feel good enough about Savali, give him one turn around the lineup.
Savali has been very good since he's come back.
Take him out in the 3rd inning. Take him out in the 4th inning.
To me, the X factor is McKenzie. I think they need to sweep the series. I don't like 1-1. I think if you win Game 1 and you got McKenzie Game 2, you need to put him away. You got to win that game. Put him away, and then I think you can piggyback that, and that momentum goes into the 2nd round. Now you got people feeling like, oh, we just smoked these dudes. We ready to go.
Yeah, no, that would be that'd be a loud message to the rest of the league if they were able to roll out with 2 starters and get 2 wins.
I'm not trying to be tricky, but I think mine's still Karinchak. I think that him being in the middle of that lineup, especially when we don't have this stellar lineup where you can count on blowing up for 12 hits on it, or 12 runs on any given game, you need somebody, especially in the playoffs, who can calm things down, too. That's the other thing that he can do. You don't just have to use him in the 7th or something like that. Say somebody gets off to a slow start. Wouldn't it be nice to know? And he's been lights out all season long.
To
and
bring
he's got
him into Squelcher
bring
Rally.
him down to Squelcher
Even
Rally, something like that.
That's a great point.
And he's been dynamite. He's been dynamite. He could be a closer, really, but we just having the option of putting him in to calm things down or to lock things down in a later inning, I think, in like a short series, especially when pitchers might, not be going on long or rest and whatnot. I think that he's might be my X factor.
I hope they just don't get tight. If they've been taking pitches and seeing them 3-4 times,
keep doing what you've been doing.
And you're running the bases. Don't get up there all of a sudden.
How do both of you baseball nerds feel about the fact that we're going to win our division and we could be knocked out in 2 games? Do you like that setup?
Bro,
do you agree with that?
How about this?
You hate it?
The Mets, who are going to win 100 and some games,
yes,
and had a lead of 10.5 games in their division not long ago, are now facing the prospect of having the exact same thing
being eliminated in 2 games.
Yes.
Is this the best system we can come up with? Is it better? I don't know.
It's not perfect.
It's better than the one and done.
It's better than the one and done, and
playing game.
Once they decided to go to 6 teams, there was no choice but to have one of the division winners.
I was just curious. I'm not judging it. I really don't know.
No, I actually like it.
I'd be great with 150. And we'll never do it. I'd be great with 154 regular season games. Playoff wild card series is 5 games.
Yeah.
ALDS, put that to 7. I think that 5 isn't enough.
I think 6. Don't go more than 6 playoff teams, please. Not more than 6.
Mikey wants to show us something.
McNuggets.
Oh, we heard all your guys' X factors. It's time to hear what the internet chose as their X factor. Whenever we ask the internet a question, it's brought to us by our good friends at PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more.
PCC.
We're going to have another viewer jingle tomorrow for PCC.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Nice.
I want to make a recommendation for you. Use this next time, okay? Please. PCC. It is an LLC.
That's good. That's good.
Just do it, but fix
Well
work on it.
done.
Okay.
So just so you guys know, this is Earl's first day running tag board today, so we're going to see how he does on the tag board
Oh, boy.
transition.
All
So
right.
A lot of
Here we go.
pressure.
Here we
let's
go.
take tag board full here, Steve. We asked the internet who will be the Guardians X Factor. Nope, leave PCC up, or we're going to leave it up to the whole segment. They sponsored it, so they got to get their money's
There
worth.
we
Now,
go.
who
There
will be
it
the
is.
Guardians X Factor for a deep playoff run? Let's take the first tag board. Brian O'Shea says Trevor Stefan plus Will Brennan.
Wow.
Deep
By the
cuts.
way, you could tell Mike was not confident in pronouncing Trevor Stefan's name.
Yeah, I know.
because he did
Stefan.
what everybody does
Yeah.
when you're not sure about
Fade
a
it
name. You
out.
say it really fast and fade.
Trevor
Yes.
Stefan?
Is it Stefan?
Stefan.
Trevor
Stefan.
Stefan.
He pitched at the game the other day. Gee, he got the close. Scared the crap out of him. So let's go to the next one, Earl.
Yeah, he luckily finished it off.
This was Andy Van Sickle McKenzie. One more.
That Andy Van Slyke.
Mike.
I mean, you
Listen,
can't
I
even
love
write their
that.
last names.
I love him, Ed.
Listen, these two different.
Nobody runs harder than he does.
He's been awesome, by the way. He's been
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And we got one more here, Earl. Let's take the last one. I believe there's one more. Uh-oh.
Not one.
Lied to
Tag board fail.
Earl.
Tag board fail,
Got into the
Earl.
last one.
Come on, Earl. You can do it.
Put it on camera. Put it on the hot spot, Steve. Take
One
camera
more
full.
rep.
One
Take
more
producer
rep.
camera full.
Come
Let's do
on,
that.
Earl.
You got it. That thing's smoking.
You know what? That's what the Browns defensive coordinator looks like after a busted coverage.
I don't know what
I
happened.
don't care. I don't know what's going on.
Anthony's all
We did a
tangled
Ken
up in
Dorsey
wires.
moment and slammed the headset down.
Break the iPad.
You ready for the last one?
Sure. You bet.
No.
Nah,
That's
you ain't
all
got
right.
that.
That's what it reminds me of. Those when the networks take the coordinator
Yep.
cam.
Got the headsets on.
He
know what
destroyed
happened.
that studio.
We got to get a 1950 style technical difficulty slate for right there with like some music
Yeah.
underneath it. Obviously.
And we're going to skip it because we
Please
have Jen
stand by.
Matthews ready.
Earl, 3 out of 4 ain't bad, bro.
Not bad.
Honestly,
3 out of 4 ain't bad.
750%.
PFF rate of 75.
So what did it say? What did it say?
The last one was Will Brennan, who a lot of people think is going to play a major
I love
role.
what I've seen from this guy.
Yeah, he's got
I'm
great
excited to
swing.
see him next year. I'm excited to see Bo Naylor next year.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
One thing that I didn't
Gabriel
mention.
Arias, too.
This is a cop out because I always like one name for the X
Yeah.
Factor. I think the X Factor for the Guardians is going to be their collective legs. When I don't think he had one last night, but the next base Stephen Kwan steals, they will have 4 guys with 20 steals.
Right, Jimenez got his 20th last
Yeah,
night.
he did. And right now Kwan's at 19. Think about that, guys. In the modern era, since they stopped stealing bases, post Ricky Henderson,
I'm about to say that
you got to dig deep to find a team that's had
Yep.
4 guys with 20 steals.
stats that'll never be broken.
You guys ready for a little trivia?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Game master Jen Matthews.
There she is, the whiz.
What's up,
But
Jen?
I think Earl's doing a great job back there.
So do
You
we.
guys put him on the spot.
We did.
Yeah.
Well, Mike really put him on the
Trial
spot.
by
It was more
fire.
Mike
Earl,
than the rest
Earl,
of
you
us.
Hey, there is no
You're doing
training
a great
camp here. You get thrown right
You
into
get
the
thrown
ring.
into it.
And Earl looks like
Sink or
Josh
swim.
Cribbs, so he gets
He
points.
do got a lot of cribs in him.
Yes.
He does.
Got a lot of Wildcat. Lot of
All right, Jen. So what we do
guess
when
Earl
you're
can't
on
catch
is
a pass either.
you give us trivia questions that are related to Browns games against this week's opponent, which is Browns Chargers.
Yeah.
I don't know that they've got a deep history, obviously being in the
There's been
in the
some
AFC
interesting
West.
games recently, right?
Yeah,
the
there's been
0-16
some-
season, the 1-15 season. By the way, real quick, Jen, the Browns played the Falcons last week. You have relationships there with both franchises, obviously. What did you think of that? Did you have mixed rooting interest there last week or no?
It is hard when they play a family member. So my cousin Jake is a left tackle. But I guess I wanted Jake to do well and the Browns to win. So
Really?
we'll just leave that. That game was such, oh gosh, what a disaster. All right,
Yeah.
let's move on.
Well, moving on.
Chargers.
Let's
That's
keep
what
it
we're
moving.
trying to
Let's
do.
do
Yes,
some trivia.
good.
Here we go.
That's the
So
spirit.
negative. I've got to put it behind me because
Yeah, let's do it. Sorry. Here we go.
You guys ready? All right.
Yeah, let's
Think
go.
so.
Question
We
number 1.
embarrassed ourselves last week. We're
That's
trying to
because
do
I
better.
wasn't here.
It's true.
Okay. All right. Question number 1. Which team leads the all-time series between the Browns and Chargers?
It is the Browns, so I'm just going to say that it's the Chargers.
It's got to be the Chargers.
I'm going to not even finish reading the entire question and agree with you.
And and the Chargers had some good people.
Back in the day.
I lived through a lot of those Brown seasons, and the Chargers are a relatively new franchise.
Right?
So.
The Browns were 12-3 against the Falcons, which blew me away.
Yeah.
They're not 12-3 against anybody.
So are we agreed then?
I'm going Brown. All right, Chargers.
We're all going to go.
It's so obvious that it's the Chargers that maybe it's the Browns.
Sandy,
Yeah.
I'm Chargers.
were the Chargers great in the 80s?
Jen, you're
Think
in
about
the
that.
Dan Fouts, great team.
But you remember the 90s?
No,
You remember the 2000s?
All right, guys. We need
right,
to wrap it up.
All right, we're gonna go Browns. Chargers. Sorry,
Chargers. Tomlinson, I remember.
Chargers final
Chargers.
answer.
Final answer.
Let's see it.
Chargers. Okay, and the answer is the
Yeah, you go.
Chargers.
All right.
Not even
close.
We didn't try to get cute that time.
No, don't get cute.
Not remotely
get
close. Believe in
Well, we
your
have
lack
to
of belief in
try
the
it.
Browns.
Trust it.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a consensus here that there's so much negativity, and I'm here to add some positivity. All right,
Okay,
let's
good.
go.
Thank you.
Ready for question
That
number
question
2.
didn't help.
Okay.
What record did the Browns set in their 47-42 overtime loss to the Chargers last season? You guys remember that wild game?
Okay, I do.
Yeah.
Didn't
Okay.
they
What record did they
penalties?
have like 4 interceptions and still lost? Was that game?
I don't remember that.
It's got to
Might be
be.
right.
It's got to be a record in futility.
Yeah, it's definitely that. I think they had. What was the final score again? Do we have?
47-42 was the final.
I think it had to do with how. It had something to do with how many yards we got and still didn't
lost.
win. I think.
I think it was something that we did and still lost.
Yeah, I think
don't
it's something
know
like that.
What it
Yeah.
was.
Your first inclination was the interceptions. None of
Yeah,
us.
but you know what? As I'm thinking about it, that might have been against another team.
That was
Okay.
against the Ravens.
It was against the Ravens.
That's right.
That
Yes,
was against
they
the
threw
Ravens.
4 interceptions, and we had no turnovers, and we lost.
And you lost.
15 seconds, guys.
all
15
right.
seconds.
I think we had ridiculous yardage in that game. I don't know what the number is, and I think we lost in spite of it.
Okay.
Most
Let's go with that.
most total yardage in a loss.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
We'll
Jen,
go with that.
Are we
Okay.
going to give it to them?
Mikey, are we ready?
Yeah, let's take it.
What record did the Browns set in their 47-42 overtime loss to the Chargers? They became the first team in NFL history to record over 500 yards of offense, score over 40 points, and 0 turnovers, and lose.
We did it, you
I
guys.
think that should count as a
We
win.
kind of got
Yeah, that's
that.
got to count as a win.
Yes, I'll give that one to you.
I
There
think
you go.
We give it
Just
to them. It was
Yeah.
for info.
All right, we're 2-0.
So teams,
That's amazing.
yeah, teams with those numbers had been 463-0 prior.
Beating the odds since
Oh, my God.
1999.
Now think about it. Think about how many of those we have. We
Well,
just had the one
against the Jets.
The Jets. We just had
It had
one
been
of them.
2,000 in a row or something.
And the 4 interceptions
Right.
and lose the game. That
Yep.
was that
the
was
the Browns are special
You know
at
what?
breaking records
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
That's amazing.
All right.
All right, we're 2-0.
Okay, let's go on to the third question. Who was the
I
Chargers
was waiting
kicker
for this question. I can't think of his name.
the game-tying field goal in 2016 that gave the Browns their only win that season?
It was that was the 1-in-15 year, right?
Was it Folk?
Was it Fultz?
I have no clue.
No.
Michael
clue.
Badgley.
I can't even know.
This is a great question, Jen, because it's so easy and so
Yeah,
obvious.
I
but they
knew
will
this
never
question
get
was
this.
coming, and I should have. I when we said it was going to be Chargers trivia, I should have looked it up before.
Wait,
That would be cheap.
Dawson didn't play
What's
for
your
them, did he?
final
Did he
answer?
play
No,
at
it was
the
the
end?
Chargers kicker that missed.
No, I'm saying, did he
Yeah.
play at the end for? Didn't Dawson?
It's not Phil Dawson.
No,
Okay,
it's
thank
not
you.
Dawson.
Because he went to 2 other teams after that. After
What's
that.
his,
You got 10 seconds.
Does Zane Gonzalez play for them?
I don't think so.
He might have.
This is beautiful, Jen.
I
This
think
is
it's a veteran kicker, and I'm not
Right.
coming up with his name.
It's going to be one of our kickers.
Okay, so
Yeah, it is going to be one of our kickers. So,
You think so?
So
Seibert.
they drafted Seibert and they drafted
Joseph.
No,
Joseph.
the guy who's on the
No,
Vikings
no,
now.
no.
Yeah.
yeah.
5,
Greg Joseph.
4.
No, not Greg Joseph. It was
3,
the guy that kicked at Arizona and was the
2.
Zane Gonzalez.
Zane Gonzalez.
Zane Gonzalez.
I
Okay,
can't
that's
believe
the
you
final
got that's.
answer.
Let's see it.
All right,
No.
answer.
Oh, he wasn't a Brown.
Not even close.
Josh Lambo.
We were nowhere in the ball.
Wasn't even near that. No idea.
2-1.
You know what, though?
The Browns.
You're doing okay. Yeah, you're doing good. All right, Mikey, we're ready.
Let's take the next one, Steve.
All right. Who was the Browns starting quarterback the last time Cleveland beat the Chiefs?
Wow.
This is easy. It
was 2016.
This is
Yeah,
what's the
but
name?
we had many starters in
No,
2016.
here it's RG3.
Is it?
RG3.
you're right.
Let's just take it. Let's take it.
RG3.
Don't think it out. Let's take RG3.
RG3.
We're saying it.
Final answer.
Final answer.
Lock it in.
Right.
When Bullets, when G. Bush is that certain, we gotta go. with it.
I was like, oh, I saw it.
RG3 in the
He
house.
watches old games on YouTube
Yeah, I
all the
do.
time.
I do.
I liked it. You got to go with your gut instinct. All right, let's
3
get
and
the
1.
final question. 3 and 1. You
That
guys
is
are
one of the
just
loudest
crushing
Browns fans have ever cheered for RG3,
Okay.
by the way.
In the 1979 NFL Draft, the Chargers traded the Browns 2 picks to move up and pick what eventual Hall of Famer?
Ozzie Newsome, right?
Ozzie Newsome,
Yep.
I know
would
this.
think.
Nope.
But Ozzie Newsome,
No.
Ozzie Newsome was before
It's
79.
Kellen Winslow.
No, 79.
So the Browns,
Oh.
did they say the Browns?
No, Kellen Winslow, the original Kellen Winslow.
See, but they
No, the Chargers traded
Yeah,
the
no,
Browns.
it was the Chargers traded to the Browns. Can
Oh.
you put that up again one more
Wait a
time?
second.
Let's look at
What?
this.
Hold on, give us 1 sec to bring it back.
No, the Chargers traded the Browns 2 picks. Oh, the Chargers
Okay.
got the player.
Yeah.
Is it Dan Fouts?
No, he was there before that. And Junior Seau was after that.
No.
Nobody wants to believe my Kellen Winslow pick.
Okay,
Huh?
the original Kellen Winslow.
Senior.
The original Kellen Winslow.
You might be right.
Kellen
about
I
that.
think I am.
Okay, who are we going with?
God, I thought
Do
it
we
would
have a
have been,
consent?
15
before
seconds.
that, Kellen Winslow.
I might be wrong, but I'm wrong all the time.
I think
but
it's
I
Kellen
it's
Winslow.
All right,
Senior.
I mean,
Kellen
they
Winslow
probably
Senior.
have Seau,
9.
Fouts, and Winslow. Let's go with Winslow.
Seau's before.
Is Mike
after that.
Polk a real
All right,
Browns fan?
and the answer is.
Yeah, Mike.
Hey,
Mike.
when you're sure of yourself, you just roll with it.
We went 4 and 1.
That's right. 4 and 1. You guys are just warming up. You're going to just start going undefeated moving forward.
Absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah, we
good.
got this now.
And we all collectively get the People's Belt champion.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
we'll
way-
just hold it. You know, there
Yeah,
might be
Mike,
another
that's-
belt coming.
We could have had the really good, not creepy Winslow, is how you have to think of things. Like that was
Yeah, you're
we
right.
had our chance at the good Winslow, and we got the rotten one.
Yeah, you're so true.
Jen
We
is
did.
She's
That's-
like,
it's true.
You want to laugh? Go ahead, laugh.
Yes,
Go ahead.
true.
That's a rotten
Go
Winslow.
ahead, let it out.
Shots fired. What do you
make-
guys say when I
I have a family question for you. Do you watch many Browns games with Dad?
I do.
Okay, so
And
I
I
want to
love
know,
watching the
how
play.
does he watch the Browns game? Is he mild-mannered like he normally is and quiet? Or is he, throwing a Nerf football at things? Is he screaming at the TV? Is he swearing? Give us the inside scoop.
Yeah, you know what? He's a gentleman, so when there are ladies around, there's no swearing. However, he
Old
does
school.
get frustrated when he doesn't mind if you genuinely get outplayed or beat, especially on defense. But when people are like blowing coverage, they're not wrapping up their tackles, there's a lack of discipline. That's where he's like, he has no patience.
I don't blame him.
for lack of discipline or playing hard. Like, he doesn't understand this, like, lowering the shoulder. He's like, hit the guy. Like, wrap up your tackle and bring him down.
Yeah.
So,
And don't get dragged 15 yards by a backup running back.
Third string.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So he's been yelling at his screen for 35 years.
Yes, he has, basically.
Yeah, he's on blood pressure medication is what she's trying to say.
That was fun.
Well,
That-
I mean,
least-
no, he's
at
not.
least when he
We
watches
watch-
the
I
Browns
love
games.
watching it. He does, and he breaks down. You know why I like watching it with Big Clay? Because he breaks down the defense. So it's like, all right, they're going to go here. He's going to run. And I'm like a sponge. I just try to soak it all up.
Yeah, it'd be cool
So,
to watch.
It would be fun to watch.
Yeah,
with Clay
like all-
Matthews.
all of my girlfriends, their husbands are like, is your dad available to watch the game with? Because I'm really hoping for some insight.
I bet.
Scoop on the defense and what they're looking to run and that sort of thing.
Very
So
cool.
but yeah, we watch them every weekend, the whole
Very
family.
good.
And then we have a group family chain that talks about, like, last weekend they broke our hearts. So then Bruce, my Uncle Bruce and their family had the bragging rights because the Falcons won.
Yeah, they
But
do.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
they do.
That's true.
We're going to show the Chargers. We're going to have to contain Mr. Herbert. And
Yeah, that won't be easy.
I think we can do
Well,
it.
listen,
I know it.
Enjoy the game, and we'll see you. Is she on next week, or is it 2 weeks with more trivia?
Next week, 2 weeks when they play the Ravens.
Wonderful.
Very
All
good.
right,
Thanks,
you
Jack.
think of some good Ravens
That'll
questions.
be a good one.
I know there's a lot of depressing questions in that lot too, so that'll be fun.
Thanks, Jack.
I'll try to find something positive.
Please.
Yeah, don't ask
luck.
who was the team that stole Cleveland's football team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Our history with the
I
Ravens.
forgot about that.
I mean, I know we have a terrible history with the Steelers.
Yeah.
But I think our history with the Ravens.
It's grosser.
It is grosser.
Yeah.
It is. It is. It's a friendlier rivalry somehow with
I mean,
Pittsburgh. They're more brothers in arms, whereas Baltimore still feels
It's crazy.
like betrayers.
They came and got the uniforms. They started drafting Hall of Famers. They won in like 3
Yeah, it's their
years.
success that really
And it
made
was
them
a Browns
despicable.
Hall of Famer that drafted all those Hall of
Yes.
Famers.
Yeah.
Yes.
To make it even worse.
A lot of bad
To
things
make it
about
even
it.
worse.
A lot of bad
Yeah.
things about it.
You guys ready to get to know Dean Wade a little
I
bit?
do
Kick
want to
them
get
with
to
our
those.
Modell, though, so we have that.
Yeah.
I want to tee this up. Not my best handshake with Dean Wade.
Oh, boy.
Tomorrow with Karis LeVert, smooth.
All right.
Y'all stick around for tomorrow.
Don't worry
this
about
is like a
tomorrow.
3
We're going
on
to
the
make fun
1
of
to
you
10?
today. Yeah, let's go.
Today was not great. I'm to be honest. I'm gonna get ahead of this right now. Do a little public PR.
It's not going to help you.
I went for a
Look at
dap. He went for a handshake. We
Oh,
found
boy.
in the middle. So,
Oh, no.
but Dean Wade was awesome.
rock, paper,
And
scissors,
let's get to
kid.
know Dean Wade a little
60
better.
ticks with Dean Wade. I just want to see the handshake.
Yup.
It's rough. It's time for another 60 Seconds at Cavs Media Day, this time with Dean Wade. Dean, we'll start with the hardest question first. What's it like being so tall?
Air is thin up top. Legs get a little heavy.
Would not know. Favorite band or album of all time?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go with. Oh gosh, The Birds by The Weeknd.
Great album. Favorite comfort food?
I love a fried chicken sandwich.
If you didn't play basketball, what would you do?
Ooh, hopefully have my own business doing something. Don't know what that'd be, but that's it.
Something is better than nothing. You heard it here first from Dean Wade. Best dunk in NBA history. Outside of all of yours.
Right. Can I go like the Olympics?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vince Carter when he jumped over the dude in the Olympics.
I think it was like 20 years ago yesterday was the anniversary. It was going back on Twitter. 2 more. You get to go on vacation anywhere in the world you want. 2 guests to go on vacation with. Who are you taking?
Ooh. 2 guests. Anybody in the whole world?
It feels like Cleveland Sports Show, Dean. You can do whatever you want here. There's no rules.
There's no rules.
Literally.
Okay. Feel obligated to take my wife. But it was just like a guy's, fun trip. I'm gonna take whoever the richest man in the world is. He's paying for everything. Bezos, and then probably taking like Beyonce or somebody like that.
Wow.
That's good answers. And lastly, which teammate has the craziest hidden talent on the Cavs?
I'm gonna say Dylan Windler's dancing. He's a good dancer, very good dancer. And then Isaac Okoro's singing.
Isaac the singer would not have guessed that. 60 seconds with plus 30, 45 with Dean Wade.
Interesting.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Boy, here we go.
Ba-ba.
Look at the. You see that lip wrist?
I told you it was a little rough one.
All right.
He
dead
called
fin.
the audible and went
Yeah,
pro.
yeah,
He went
yeah.
pro
That
style.
was funny. Mike had this awkward smile on his face right at the end. I don't know what was going on there. That was funny. And then there was a moment in the middle of that interview.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, that was so weird. But those things are great. But Beyonce?
Well, he kicked his wife to the curb and took
For
Beyonce.
Beyonce.
I hope she's not watching this.
Hey man, look, everybody got a top 5. Your wife don't have to be in your top 5.
Yeah, but Jeff Bezos, what a
That's
weird
weird,
hang,
too.
the 3 of them on a vacation together.
Dean Wade,
He
Jeff
just wants Jeff to
Bezos,
pay for everything and then go away.
and Beyonce walked into an airport.
But he's already rich. Like, I'd be confused. What do you mean you need somebody to pay for
He's
it?
got to impress Beyonce though.
Right.
He's taking her. Like she wants that.
He's
Everyone's
got the
gotta be.
least amount of money in that threesome.
Yeah, no
I should
doubt.
have called it that.
Yeah,
No, you
wow,
should-
yeah, this is a setup.
Should
No,
not
because now we all pictured it, and it's awkward. And who belongs
Very,
where? Who even
very.
belongs where?
Very.
You
Hey,
know?
by the way, McNuggets, you good at that little conference. You remind me to
He's
do
doing
off
great. He's doing great at
what's
those.
his Noah? What's the name? When the guy interviews the Trump supporters, like. At the
Oh
rallies?
yeah, from the Comedy Central.
Man
What's
on the
his name?
street.
Jordan something.
Jordan, something.
Klemper.
You're pretty good at that. You could be that for.
He is
for,
good at that.
for,
Those are fun
athletes.
interviews.
In a previous world, I did do that. Not exactly that, but I did ask questions for a living. Not just to you guys.
My favorite though is the handshake and not knowing which way it's going to go.
I love the
And the
slow
look on
motion.
his face was he wasn't sure.
Yeah.
And he's checking it out early and sees that he's going for the pro grip. See, if we can back that up to before where there's contact, he's actually looking at the hand. He's going, oh damn, he's going professional.
Yeah.
So but he was ready. Look, he's eyeballing right now. He's getting an early scouting report.
I love how Dean knew it was time to stare at the camera and smile until it was all over.
So, wait, real quick backstory. So somehow, someway, I had a couple connections to these guys. So a woman I worked with in Tennessee covered Dean in high school.
Oh, wow.
So I texted her beforehand, and I was like, hey, you got any questions for Dean?
Is he a pro grip or a...
Well, and I asked him, like, hey, by the way, I worked with Heather Williams. And he goes, oh, I loved Heather. She was the only reporter in Toledo, Kansas, where I grew up. So, like, we kind of had a broken barrier. So I figured we already broke the barrier. We could dap it up. And he, I guess.
And he didn't go there.
No,
he didn't go. But Karis LeVert tomorrow, I'm telling you.
Good dap.
Smooth.
But-
it's because we're both Net fans.
But
I'm a Net fan. He played for the Nets.
And you told him that before the interview.
No, but he told us he raps tomorrow. We got Karis LeVert rapping tomorrow. So
Wow.
You used your context clues. I see why you went in for the brother dap, because he mentioned Beyonce. So you thought
Yeah.
like, oh,
He's
Thank
down
you.
with it.
he like the sisters. Let's go ahead and give him that.
Yeah, let's dap it up.
But he gave you the regular pro grip. Like,
grip.
he's like, I'm still
we're
married.
gonna
I know
do
where
a
my bread's
montage
butter.
after this. I don't know when I get time. We're
Yeah,
gonna do a
put
slow
music under it.
Yeah,
slow handshake
slow,
montage,
slow
all the
sappy
handshakes.
music.
Hey, shout out to Beyonce, still holding up in our every dude's like dream girl, 25 years strong now.
How
Think
old is
about
she?
that. I don't know, but she's been
Gotta
around.
be over 40.
Hey, Halle Berry would be my
Ageless.
choice. She's even older than Beyonce.
I'm just saying.
Ageless.
It's
Yeah.
good for her.
The only thing is, it'd be tough with Beyonce because everywhere you'd go, there'd have to be somebody following you with a fan on her hair.
Yeah,
And that would
right.
get, after a while, that would get very, very old.
Yeah.
Man, you can't listen. There's a thing. You can't touch a black woman's hair. My father has never touched my mom. No,
that's very true.
No, you can get that
But
off.
just to maintain that dream woman status this far deep with puerile, like superficial men like us, where we cherish age over
And she
anything,
has
it's
5
very
kids.
impressive. And she has 5 kids.
She has 5 kids.
And she's
Hey,
happily married.
Look at J-Lo, too.
Yeah.
J-Lo's the dream girl for many still.
Yeah.
And to your point,
Halle Berry.
Cleveland girl.
Gotta
Halle
love the
Berry.
classics. Gotta love the classics.
Hey, Nia Long's back on the market now.
You hear that?
Yeah, that's right.
She back on that market now.
Is she a
right?
subscriber?
So you're
Yeah,
saying
so is
we
Giselle,
have
by
a
the way.
chance.
Is she in the chat?
Giselle's on the market. They officially filed for divorce, or they, according to
What?
page 6. Jason Lloyd texted us in the group.
Why
chat.
was it just
Wow.
at the bottom? What, can we get that at the bottom scrolling? When was this?
Listen, we've had a lot of stuff going on today. I'll
There's
edit
been
this
a
in.
lot written about what's going on. I guess she's super pissed that he bought a yacht without telling her.
I like how she's just figuring out he's a sociopath. I mean, the man, he's amazing talent, but the
Yes.
guy is he's
He
playing
obviously
football.
doesn't want to spend time with her.
No.
That's why he doesn't retire.
Yeah, he's an NFL starting quarterback, and he's like 45 years old, and he's like a crazy person, and he's devoted himself to that. You're going to be lacking in some other aspect of your life if you're still a 45-year-old successful quarterback in the NFL. You just can't have more than that.
There was a great book out there that once upon a time when I was coming up, it's called "He's Just Not That Into You." Mm-hmm. And when you come out of retirement, you buy boats and you
Right.
They have kids, right?
They do.
thousands of them.
They do.
I wonder if he's
No,
getting
I think just 2 or 3.
I think they adopted some too.
He had some kids from a previous relationship. I think 1. So
I think he has 2 with Giselle, right?
2 with Giselle and I think 1
And one
prior.
prior.
She was an actress. I can't think of her name right now.
Can I say one more thing about the 60 seconds before we do final takes?
Sure.
Shout out Earl and Anthony for being vital parts of that. Shout out Brad and Jason. I'm telling you, I know they're silly and they're all not
Oh,
serious
it's been
questions.
very enjoyable.
It's great stuff.
They
There's no
are
reason to.
Everyone we talked to said thank you for not asking me the same 7 questions.
Sure,
every
Of course.
That's
Absolutely.
And hopefully that turns into them being like, oh, these guys kind of have.
Right.
Not only does LeVert rap tomorrow, we have to censor our first interview. Dropped
Nice.
a couple F-bombs.
Good.
I had to break out the bleep.
We don't have to.
We don't have to, but we made an
But we
executive
inappropriately have made that
editorial
decision.
Right.
Um,
Now, all that being
But they
said,
had fun.
So the Cavaliers, a team that gets it, a team that wants the fan base to create a connection to these players. And by the way, I think we've done that. I think our regular viewers feel that they know all of these guys a little bit better. Then you have the Browns, who we can't show video of their news conferences. And I'm not making that up. We cannot show video from their public news
Called
conferences.
press conferences so the press can see them.
Yeah, and by the way, it's good. It's good to build. And what we're trying to do is shine a light on these guys, not as, grunt football players, but what do they like to do in their spare time?
Well, we did have Greg Newsome on. We had a fun time with him.
He was great. And you build these connections with players and the fan base, and that just – but you know what? There's one team in town that doesn't need to have that connection. And they treat the media in a way that – now I should say they gave us, finally, Taki last week, which was nice.
Yeah.
We'd like to have a little bit more access, but –
Who said you can't play that video?
I think the man.
You over here. If you go to the barbershop, they got all this. No, I'm playing. Stop playing. Don't come after me.
I watched G. Bush. By the way, G. Bush is literally like the Nick Cannon of Cleveland. Okay.
Wow. Without the kids.
He does. Yeah, without the 10 kids.
I got all those.
He does all these shows. So over the weekend, he sends the group a text. He's like, I want your opinion on this top 5 countdown show. And I watched it, and I'm like, I feel like I'm watching old school MTV.
I know, it was.
The graphics were as professional as they get. The content was entertaining as hell, but you're just rolling all kinds of pirated video.
And I love that G.
Of course.
And I love that G surrounded himself with like 3 offensive linemen. And
he looked small.
He looked skinny.
It's a great show. And I was just doing it because I was bored.
The one guy's your brother, right? Just one.
I got 2 of them.
Brother. 2 of those guys? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, those are all my family members.
Hey, G, we got to talk about this real quick before we do final takes. I know I said that a second ago.
Yeah.
After the Guardians game, we had more tweets saying G. Bush is a massive human being.
Yes.
Do people not know
I don't understand how people didn't realize he was tall.
They said he looked short on TV.
Well, all you see, for the most part,
is the torso.
The torso, because his legs are hidden behind here.
That's true.
You're never standing up where you have reference points. It's just like when we were on the field and we saw Oscar Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Every one of us said, my God, this dude's a lumberjack.
This dude big.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's monstrous, man. I said, thank you. They was like, bro, I could have swore you were short. It happened in the same way. I was at Browns practice, and I took a picture with Quincy Carrier, and they was like, bro, either Quincy is that small or G. Bush is the size of a lineman. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I did play lineman, so...
And then, of course, a few people responded and said, well, it's not that G. Bush is that tall. It's that Adam the Bull is 5'2". Which I'm not 5'2". I know I'm not tall, but I'm not 5'2".
Where are you, about 5'7"?
5'7", 5'8".
Okay.
G. Bush, it's because your Twitter picture. You look so different in your Twitter avatar than you do in real life.
Yeah, I got like...
When I met you, when we met up for that beer the first time, when I first got here, you walked in, I was like, that can't be the same dude I'm supposed to meet.
Why? How is it different?
Because
G. Bush's Twitter avatar, G, it looks like you...
I don't know that I've ever seen
you got
Call
like
it out.
He's in that little circle.
And the picture looks short. You look short in your Twitter avatar picture. You can only see your head.
How can you look short in your avatar picture?
Yeah.
That people roll up on me.
They're thinking you're rerun.
Oh, listen.
You're too young for that.
No,
I remember rerun.
By the way, I watch all the old Soul Trains.
Yeah,
I watch all of them. Like
No, but that was good times.
Yeah, but
not good.
But
What's happening?
What's happening?
But he started on Soul Train.
That's true, because he's a dancer.
He's a dancer.
Yeah.
And
That guy, I've never seen a
he
fat
could
guy dance
break
that
it
well.
down, man.
Is he the greatest fat dancer ever?
Heavy D is the
Probably
greatest.
is.
Heavy D is the greatest fat dancer of all time.
Wow.
Rerun
He
was
is a
pretty
really
damn
great fat
good.
dancer.
Yeah.
Rerun was pretty good.
We got one more thing before final takes. I know,
Okay.
but this came to our attention. This is very important. Anthony, sit down. You're finally on camera. G. Bush, you don't follow Anthony back, and he's very upset about that.
Whoa!
Really? Why didn't you say something?
This is how we're doing this?
That's how we doing?
I don't think Brad is following any of us.
By the way, if I tell people, hey, I'm the unmedia guy. Hey, if you do something, you're cool. If you got a podcast in Cleveland, you talk anything Cleveland sports, you DM me and I will follow you.
Except Anthony can't
Except
DM
Anthony,
you because
who makes your graphics.
He could have just said, "What's up, G. Bush?"
Except Anthony, who makes your graphics.
Bad job out of you, Anthony. You should.
Hey.
I sat behind you and your wonderful father at the Guardians game, and we talked about everything. I showed you overpriced watches that I thought I was going to get, but my wife said no, I can't get. I showed you everything. You should have told me.
Formed a connection.
You should have let me know I'm not following you. Let's get this done.
No, you can't follow him now. Don't let the peer pressure.
Oh,
No, follow.
Well, now we know
he
why
wasn't
you're doing
purposely
it.
not following.
He was
you.
hurt too. He was like,
You should have waited.
If he brought it up,
He's crying right now.
that's my quarterback.
Do you ever tweet,
That's my
even
panelist.
Anthony? Do you even ever tweet?
Anthony tweets very rarely.
Look, right?
Okay, so it's. I mean,
You got to keep up on your latest Anthony news.
Yeah, listen,
G-Bush.
Anthony, what's popping?
Find out where he's eating at and stuff, I guess.
What's your Twitter handle, buddy? What's Bud?
Anthony, what's your Twitter?
Anthony
handle?
Hedges.
Ant_Clee.
He just said Bud like as if he was an 8-year-old kid.
That was purposeful.
He just buddied Anthony. Yep.
All right, is everyone following everyone now? Is everybody okay?
And
no one's sad.
Oh, that don't look like you. Ant_Cleveland.
Hey, he's gonna DM you right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, this ain't
Ant_CLE.
we not dang. Oh, here we go. That is you.
He's like 8 down.
Yeah, he's like 10 down, and he's right in front of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Oh, he's got a side-by-side of he and Austin Hedges.
Oh, yeah, I'll follow back.
Nice.
Dude, you got to start tweeting. How many tweets you got? 6?
All his
you're his
tweets are
100th follower
are
right now.
retweets.
Wow, 100th follower. I feel like you should get a small fries from Arby's.
And listen, we got to get you a dating profile, too. McNuggets is out here capitalizing. We got. I see he's moving
McNuggets,
on.
how's the dating scene in Cleveland?
Using good lighting.
Is it good, bad, fair? Where is it?
It's medium.
Medium.
He had. I sent him to a restaurant this weekend. He needed a
I went
place
yesterday.
to go.
Yeah, it was
So
really
you
Oh,
good.
it was yesterday?
So you had a date yesterday. How'd it go?
How's the food? How's the company?
Well, it's 1 to 10. How was the date?
7, 8. It was really good.
Is there a second date in the works?
Yeah, it'll be a second one.
Yeah, well, so it
was
must have been
good,
better
yeah.
than a 7 or an 8. You don't go back unless it's like a 9 or a 10.
McNuggets,
Unless you're desperate.
It was good. Yeah, it was good.
McNuggets, you tell
You're making him nervous now. 'Cause
He also just called her a 7, like on his TV show,
Yeah,
his
like
YouTube show. That's
national.
not great.
Her father's watching. He knows that.
I don't think.
Has
she
any
knows what
woman ever
sports
been
are,
thrilled
so.
to be referred to as a 7?
Mike just said, I don't think she knows what sports are.
I found.
I think you guys are a great fit
It's
then.
like a G. Bush wife situation, right? Your wife's not a sports fan, is she?
No, but I
I had a great
her
conversation
early.
with her on Thursday at the game, though. G, super nice.
I was sorry that we were at the other end and in the wrong, like I couldn't speak with her.
yeah.
No, she wasn't.
We got to do something where we all get
smiles
together
and
again.
Yeah, we do need a
sometime.
party. We need
Yeah.
a party.
Yeah, so-
I'll host a party at the crib.
Yeah.
Figure out
on the yacht.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. We're doing like these post-game shows every single game. You guys are, I mean,
all the games.
like
Do it from there.
do it from there. What weekend works? We'll do the show, the post-game show from the crib. We'll have a watch party. I'll bring the food,
We'll
beer,
figure that out.
everything.
Yeah, let's do
We'll
it.
talk.
All right.
Let's
By
do
the way,
a final
does your
taste.
wife like sport? Let's blow
My
off
wife
on
loves
Final Takes and
sports.
just have this
My wife
conversation.
loves
No,
sports.
Polk has a final take.
Oh,
he
I'm
has to get
sorry.
to.
It's not important.
Mike's girlfriend likes sports.
No, you only
Yeah.
get,
I
you
met
only
his
get one
wife.
shot a week here, 2 shots a
Polk.
week.
We did it. We meet his wife
Yeah.
and his son.
Yeah.
By the way, they're like, they're like the picture perfect. They came in excited. They
Yeah, white picket fence family for sure.
Oh yeah, they got the 2.5 dogs, a car, a
With
cat,
2 dogs.
2 dogs,
A cat.
Yeah, all that.
That's the 2.5 right there.
Yeah,
She's
I
like,
guess.
we just wanted to do something special for. By the time I'm married that long, they're gonna be like, look.
You know, I'll tell you, G. Bush, it's funny that you said that because when I was telling people here that my son made the drive from New York
That's
to
crazy.
here, it was 7 hours. And I didn't know he was going to be there when I threw out the first pitch. And I looked up on the stadium and I saw someone coming down the steps that looked like my son. I'm like, damn, that guy looks just like Corey.
Yep.
And then I looked next to him as my wife and I said, what is going on? Because I FaceTimed him with the day before and he said 3 or 4 times, man, I wish I could get there. I can't get there. It sucks. But I was telling that story to some folks upstairs and they said, how old's your son? I said, he's 30. He said, man, you must have done a hell of a job that a 30-year-old adult male with a job in New York would get in a car and drive to watch you throw 1 pitch.
That's crazy.
We all want to have those relationships with our kids. It's great that you're
so
able to have
blessed.
that.
I am completely blessed.
And tell your son, hey man, marry that girl. That girl was cool. She drove down here with you.
Yeah, I know.
She drove and then she was excited. She had the nerve to be taught. I said, yeah, you're not getting that.
Sat and watched this
Sat
too.
and watch this?
For
And
hours.
enjoyed it.
I got dibs on being their kids.
And
age,
I
though.
was
I'm
excited.
in already.
I was excited that she was Jewish. She's part of the tribe.
Yeah, you guys were talking Jewish culture. That was big.
I love the fact that you are so pro-Jewish. I think
You gotta be, man. You gotta
that's
rep.
Just
it.
as a culture, the
That is
religion
so
part I can take or leave, but the culture.
Hey, Polk, we got to do your final takes.
Yeah,
Steve
let's
Becker
do it.
really
Okay,
wants to
real
talk
quick,
about
guys.
this
You
today,
guys
so.
saw this huge sports controversy, of course, and I'm talking about the fishing tournament ripoff, the cheating scandal that was a C at right here on our harbor. I didn't even know that it was right here in town, and it was in Northeast Ohio. It's national news now. These cheating fishermen who weighed their fish, put weights inside of their fish so that their fish would weigh more. And
You'll
they would
see it
win
in the
this
video in
tournament.
1 sec.
Oh, the video's crazy.
Now you can't totally hear what's going on here, but they
the
are.
cops?
Yes, they are actually taking the weights out of these fish right now that these guys had planted in there so that they would weigh more. And that's the person being confronted. His name is Jacob Runyon. You can tell by his awesome jacket, Runyon Ranger. He's part of a two-person sport fishing team, Jacob Runyon and
Watch
Chase
this.
Kaminsky.
Here comes the evidence.
This is the guy cutting it open is Jacob Fisher. He is the tournament director, and he suspected that these fish were too heavy because they weighed like 7 pounds apiece. And they were supposed to weigh 5.5 or 4.5 pounds on average for a fish like that. Now, this just keeps going, and I do wish you guys could hear it. I'm sure other people have seen this at home. The best part is his fellow fishermen, all the fellow fishermen are grouped around these guys right now, watching them get busted.
I thought they were going to beat him to death.
And they just sound crestfallen as if they had been betrayed by one of their own. They're just like, they were. And they're going, Jake, what are you doing, Jake? Look we caught you, Jake. Like, just really upset.
Those were filleted fish that they also shoved down the fish's gullet.
They wrapped up the weights in filleted fish so that they wouldn't clank together.
There's no honor anymore. We got cheating in the last 2 weeks. We've had cheating in chess.
Yes.
We've had cheating in fishing.
Right.
We've had cheating in poker.
Don't forget those Houston sons of guns banging those trash cans a couple years back.
There's no honor among white trash anymore. What's happened?
Look at his face. The best part of this video is when they show him his face.
Yeah. And they're just looking at him, and they're like, "What do you have to say, Jake?" And he just staring. He's staring straight.
It's a want to get away commercial.
It is. And
want to get away
because what he's seeing is he's seeing his whole life slipping away from him now. These are his friends. This is his only hobby, probably. I'd imagine.
He's gonna have to move to New York or LA now.
He's gonna have to go to. It's not a hobby. He and his partner won a $200,000 prize in a fishing tournament.
That's true.
They won a boat in a fishing tournament.
Yes.
It's theft.
They've won over $300,000
Did they cheat in those events too, or we don't know?
Well, once
the assumption.
Look at this.
There have been suspicions beforehand, apparently, with these guys.
Well,
And
you
now,
heard guys
finally,
saying, we knew it.
We knew it. Now, of course, here's the question. Why is this viral, and why are so many people excited about some fishermen who just got busted for cheating at a sport that none of us knew existed or none of us cared about? You might have known it existed. You didn't know it was happening last weekend. Nobody was like,
who knew there was that kind of prize money?
Who won the big sport fishing competition this past weekend? And now we all know about it, and we're passing it around. And the reason is because it's so rare that we get to see justice actually delivered.
Yes.
In your face, on the spot,
Right.
by your peers, with a payoff, and you get to see the bad guys not win. Normally, you can stretch this stuff out in court forever. I can send an attorney at you. We can settle out of court, and it's a non-disclosure. Don't tell anybody what I did. Yeah. This is immediate judgment, and there was something so cathartically awesome about these people, watching these people police their own and actually get to say to the bad guys, you screwed up.
He's a pariah now.
You're busted.
Oh, forever.
They have now mentioned, by the way, they are going to take this further legally. They're sending it to the Cuyahoga courts to try. They're making a complaint to say, because it's over $300,000. But I just want to say the reason that we did really all enjoy that is because, unlike in so many situations, for example, Houston, who still has a championship, this doesn't get muddled up in red tape. There are no questions. We all saw the rocks. There's the proof. And now you guys are pariahs in your community from now on. Have fun in a little pond somewhere in some campground. And sorry, guys, there's the way out the door.
And we believe in cancel culture.
We do believe in cancel
culture. Get up out of here.
When it's appropriate.
Hey,
go like a fish.
Hey, go duck hunt now, because you're out of that fishing game.
They're in there stuffing bricks into ducks' mouths.
I mean, it's literally cheating in this instance has taken away the thing that's most important in their lives. Runyon Ranger, who went to the store and said, "Yeah, because my name is Runyon, I want to get a coat that says Runyon Ranger, maybe some fish on the back." You know what I'm talking about. So, dude, that is the most important thing in this guy's life. Mm-hmm. And it's gone.
And he threw the flag up underneath there.
They already vacated. They already vacated all of their previous champions, and the people who came in second in past tournaments against these guys that this guy ran. Those people were bumped up and are now the champions.
Yeah, but did they get the money?
Fair.
And
all
the
fair.
vote?
Probably not. But at least they are now no longer recognized as the champions, which means something. Titles probably mean something to those guys
Restitution.
as much as they do for other people.
Pay that back.
Other sports.
And isn't the how this translates to other sports? It's like, how did that not happen to the Astros?
Right. Yeah.
Like, baseball looked the other way, gave a little slap on the wrist.
Mm-hmm. You'd have to play the whole postseason over.
No, you don't.
I'm down for it.
Strip them the World Series.
You just give them
take it from them.
Give them that Marion Jones. Give me that. I'm taking these medals back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can't run it over again. You can't play it over again. And you know what's really going to be difficult? You talk about lawyers in court. How are they going to prove that in the $200,000 first place prize gimmick that they did the same thing?
Right. No,
those
you're
fish
right.
are long gone.
But the titles are gone, and that's at least a step.
Does it say in there how they were tipped off? Like, how did they? How did they know?
They looked at they looked at what's normally a 7-pound walleye.
You could catch,
and they were stunned that it weighed in at 11 pounds.
You were limited to 5 walleye. Like, it was your 5 biggest you could catch during a certain amount of time.
Right.
And on average, these other fishermen are bringing in 4.5 pounds each, 5 pounds each, and theirs were like 7.5. But
the same.
And the same size as fish. And these guys, it's the balls of these guys thinking they could get away with this.
Well, because they
with
had.
other fishermen. And the guy picked them up and he could just tell they were heavier. So he's like,
they should have known not to screw with this tournament, because you said that the guy that caught him and gutted the fish, his last name was Fisher.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I mean, they should have known this guy. You're not going to be able to pull the wool over this guy.
No.
Why didn't the guy who cheated get Jason Grimsley to sneak in and steal the
uncork
fish
the bat
and get it out of there before he got busted and they could cut it open?
That would have been the move.
What is Jason Grimsley up to? He seems like a guy who might be fishing now.
We need to find Jason Grimsley and ask him to come on this show.
Yes.
I would love to interview him.
We actually, would you, this is probably one of those things that sounds better and then we'll forget about this story in 2 days and we'll be mad that we booked this guy. But that guy, the guy who actually is in charge of this, the commission and stuff, he's been on all kinds of national media now talking about this. Is the best time of his life, obviously. He's like, people are
got 15 minutes.
Time Magazine's on the phone. So we could probably get that guy to come in here and it might be interesting or maybe not. Let's just
and on the
forget I said
Grimsley
it.
front too. If you're not sure what that is in reference to, when Albert Bell was busted using a corked bat, they put it in the umpire's closet.
Against the White
Sox. Jason Grimsley famously climbed over the ceiling tiles, broke into it, and replaced it with another bat. Which, after the game, the umpires looked at the bat and said, wait, this isn't the same bat. This doesn't even have pine tar.
That's insane.
So they figured out.
Imagine if that happened now with all the media coverage.
I feel
what
bad
a great story, though. We need to get Grimsley and
Don't you feel bad for Jason Grimsley, though? Just imagine Jason Grimsley. Albert Bell's like, I need you to go get my bat. And Grimsley's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't want to get in trouble. He's like, go get my bat.
He was such a bully. He probably said, who's getting my bat? And everyone's like, I'll get it.
Yeah.
I'll get it. All right, we got to go. We got 45 seconds left. 22-hour break.
Peace.
Back tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
There it is.
Well done, Steve.
Cheaters! I'll never forgive you, Houston.
Can we go to the handshake now? That's the only thing missing.